The IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship now solidly into the second half of the 2018 season, makes its annual pilgrimage up north, and I use that word advisedly. Canada has been a part of the IMSA calendar, well, since there's been an IMSA calendar. We've had a packed walkabout in the pit lane by the ever-enthusiastic Canadian endurance racing fans, and Canadian Tire Motorsport Park has never looked any better in a week where the weather has been as close to perfect as it could possibly be. All right, we had a little bit of rain on Thursday evening, but that just meant everything was a bit greener. We're about an hour up the 401 from Toronto, maybe a little more in the morning traffic. The 10 corners and 2.4 miles of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park are etched in the minds of drivers throughout the ages. It's challenged everyone from Formula One down over, including two wheels as well. And the joy of this track is through all of the exciting upgrades that have been made down through the years, both in safety and in infrastructure. The track remains the same challenge as it always was. And that is what puts a smile on the face of drivers, whoever they are. We have Helio Castro-Neves and Juan Montoya here for the first time this weekend, and they are both rubbing their hands in glee. Can't wait to get behind the wheel of their Team Penske Acuras later on in the race. Hello everybody, it's IMSA Radio and IMSA TV live from trackside, and the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix is next, live from a very sunny Canada. Jeremy Shaw is in the IMSA Broadcast Centre alongside me, John Hindhaugh. Jeremy, our Porsche keys to the race. Cars on the formation lap as we are speaking, one of the first of two formation laps. Picking perfect passing points is a primo thing to do this weekend. This is a fast circuit, and sticking your nose in where it's not wanted is not good for either party.
No, you've got to be picture perfect. You really have. You've got to pick your points and be incisive. You're going to make a pass. Make sure that you telegraph that as much as you can to the guy in front of you. I'm talking there about drivers in different categories, different classes. There's a big speed differential between the prototypes and the GT cars.
You've got to react to circumstances, not just the drivers on the track, but the teams on the pit lane here. It's only a 66-second lap for those at the front. Therefore, if you can get a free pit stop on a full course yellow, you've got to get that in.
You probably have, because it's for the prototypes. If it were to go green all the way, it's a tough ask to make it on 3 pit stops. You could just about do it, but there's not really any margin, so you have to be prepared to make maybe an extra pit stop, or certainly prepared to make a pit stop at very short notice.
In the GT categories, might need a little bit of splash. It's not necessarily a full stint to get to the end. 2 tyres, 4 tyres, that might be an option here. Just take the left sides.
It could be. It could be. It certainly isn't the past. All at the longest corners here are right-handers. The most demanding corners on the racetrack are right-handers, predominantly right-hand track. So yeah, it's the left-hand side tyres that will take the hardest amount of the heat, if you like.
And the competition is hot as well as the weather here, so no errors, 0 errors if you want to get a decent result here, and that particularly important for our championship leaders coming in.
Look, it's so close in each of the classes in terms of the competitors of the cars and in the points as well, so if you make any mistakes, you're going to fall back through the pack, and as competitive as it is, it's going to be tough to overtake and make up any lost ground.
Jeremy Shaw with the Porsche keys to the race. We'll keep you updated with our Cadillac in-race updates throughout the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix. The cars beginning to form up at their second time of asking, coming through the Turn 5 complex and onto, that's Moss Corner, onto Mario Andretti straight. Shea Adam is our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. No problems from the pit lane, everybody got away, Shea.
The 55 was a little slow leaving the grid, John, but managed to get going, and all the cars abandoned A. So we are clear and ready to go racing. Come on, let's throw the green flag already. I want to go.
And race director Bo Barfield was insistent the cars all be formed up before the start of the race rather than just straggling around and getting themselves into formation before the start. They've done an excellent job of that.
A little bit of delineation between the classes as Dane Cameron, who's inherited the pole for Roger Penske, and for Acura has Robert Alon in the bright yellow number 85 Oreca, one of the global cars, right alongside him. The Corvette, what else could it be around here? Safety car is in the pit lane. The green flag is in hand and waves, and a great jump off the final corner for Dane Cameron, and he's followed through by Renger van der Zande. The Dutchman in the very glossy black Cadillac goes straight through into second, and here comes Jonathan Bomarito in the dark red Mazda getting a good start as well. The DPI is getting up to speed very much quicker than that bright yellow JDC number 85. Further back down the field, last weekend's winner, the number 99, the Gainscore car, Misha Goikhberg in the Red Dragon. He's disputing a position with Tristan Nunez. That's around about 8th position in the prototypes as they were coming down to the bottom of turn 2 and up to turn 3. Fabulous start from Cameron. Even better one from Renger van der Zande.
Yeah, that's important for Dane Cameron there, because he's got a very fast car here, and he loves this racetrack. He's really in tune with the racetrack. He's been very, very fast all weekend. He's going to try and pull away a little bit if he can. Robert Alon, look, he doesn't have anything like the experience of the other guys. That was a very sensible start from my perspective for Robert Alon. He's slotted into 4th position, and he will now try and maintain that.
There's an old adage in motorsport that you can't win it on the first corner, but you can lose it. Now, it is a bit of a cliche, but cliches only become cliches because there's more than a modicum of truth in there. In GT Le Mans, pole sitter Nick Tandy already under pressure, but not from Ryan Briscoe, who was alongside him in the Ford. No, it's Jan Magnussen, whose form this season again has been absolutely superb. The number 3 Chevy Corvette in 2nd position, in behind the singing Porsche. The flat 6 down through turn number 2, followed by the V8. Then it's the second of the Porsches, Lawrence Vanteur. Ryan Briscoe down to 4th, ahead of the 2nd Chevy Corvette, Englishman Ollie Gavin. The tall fella in the number 4 is 5th. Then Jesse Krohns had a decent start for the BMW. Number 24, his teammate is behind him in the 25, and that's Alexander Sims. In GT Daytona, the 2 Lexus locked out the front row, and Jack Hawksworth and Dominic Baumann in the 15 and the 14, that's the red and the blue car respectively, are ahead of Brian Sellers in the championship leading Lamborghini. The Paul Miller Racing number 48 then in 3rd, ahead of Ben Keating in 4th in the first of the AMG GTs, the Mercedes-Benz Coupes. Porsche's always been very impressive around this circuit at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and the hotter it gets, the better they like it round here. If it's hot or if it's wet, the Porsches have always seemed to have done well here, but in fairness, Chevy Corvette have as well. Perhaps had the accolades they deserve around here, but with the GM manufacturing plant and the down in Oshawa being proudly put together up here, there's always a lot of support for the bright yellow cars. So 1.4 seconds, Jeremy, for Dane Cameron at the end of the first lap, and he at least can breathe a sigh of relief, as can everyone down at Lexus, as Jack Hawksworth and Dominic Baumann have opened up a bit of a gap as well.
Lap 2, we've got a new lap record by Dane Cameron. 108.
So first flying lap there.
108.624. The old lap record set last year by Stephen Simpson was a 108.9, so he's on the case right away. Hats off here, by the way. I'm not looking at the front of the field necessarily, but to the back. John Bennett is absolutely hanging with the other prototype cars. He's not losing much ground at all. That's exactly what he needs to do for that core Autosport team if they're going to give any opportunity for Colin Brown to use his speed to win this race.
His undoubted speed, yes. We should say. Colin Brown and that 54 core Autosport car, the white and tangerine closed prototype, the Oreca, sitting in 12th position, that 54 at the moment, started by John Bennett, but his teammate Colin Brown has been the fastest in every session to date. 3rd position in GT Daytona, coming past us now at the outside of the final corner. Brian Sellers, what a championship season the Paul Miller Racing team are putting together in his wheel tracks. The number 33, Ben Keating. Ben Keating qualifying right at the sharp end of GT Daytona, and that for a man who's main role in life is not to be a racing driver, Jeremy. He will have been delighted with that, and he's setting a cracking pace early on.
Look, he's done a fantastic job as Ben Keating. He was super fast all weekend long. He was actually quicker than Jerome Blakemolin yesterday on the times in all. His time in qualifying, a remarkable effort. And this morning in the warm-up, Jerome Blakemolin, his teammate, was the quickest of all by quite a large margin. Watch out for that number 33 car. New fastest lap, by the way, last time around was by the second place car of Renger van der Zende, but now this time Dane Cameron reclaims that lap record with a 108.08.
Cameron in the red, white and black, bit of silver, and that car hasn't got the stars on it, on its dorsal fin, of course, because it was backed into the tyres at turn 5, which is where it is about now, by Helio Castro Neves, and the whole of the dorsal fin was peeled away and had to be replaced. So that's back to its standard rather than its 4th of July tribute colours that it was wearing last weekend. Dane Cameron has been the only driver who has had anything for the pace of Colin Brown in the early sessions, and he has been impressive and frankly has been smashing track records and qualifying records by a decent margin, much I'm sure to his frustration and chagrin. Still a couple of tenths or so behind Colin Brown, so hasn't been perhaps getting the headlines that his driving certainly deserves here this weekend, and that of the team for putting together such a great Acura prototype. He's grabbing the headlines now in the best possible way by being out front and leading very well indeed. In GT Daytona, it's still the two Lexus, first and second. Down in the 8th position, Cooper McNeil in the WeatherTech car, looking forward to last weekend's winner. Yes, we're on a double back-to-back weekend here. Robbie Foley in the BMW 96, the yellow and blue Turner Motorsport car. GTLM, Nick Tandy's made his bid for freedom. He goes past us with Jan Magnussen now a couple of seconds behind, and coming under pressure from Lawrence Van Tor in the number 912 Porsche. The 912 is the brand new chassis, if I remember rightly. Was supposed to have been a brand new chassis at Le Mans, but it was written off in a testing accident in the early part of the Le Mans week. So a second brand new chassis shipped up from Weissach, put together at Le Mans, and then subsequent to its running at the 24 du Mans, shipped over here for the American team to close out the season with. That is the 912 car running, as I say, in 3rd position at the moment. Just beginning to spread out a little bit. Looks like Ryan Briscoe's got into his stride now after a not great start in the Ford. But again, what you've got to say is there's no point in throwing it at the scenery on that first corner when you've got 2.5 hours plus to go to the end of the race. Bring your Michelin tyres in the GTLM category, bring them up to temperature, get yourself settled in, and then start planning and scheming about how you're going to make those positions back, Jeremy. Yeah,
that's exactly right, John. And this lap 6, by the way, the first time we haven't had a new lap record set during this race.
Dear me.
But Dane Cameron is stretching his leaders out to 3.1 seconds now over the number 10 car of Renger van der Zende, who's doing a nice job there in the 2nd place. That Mazda is looking good, isn't it? Jonathan Bomarito running well in 3rd place. So we've got Acura, Cadillac, Mazda and Oreca, the first 4 positions, 4 different makes of car, different types of car.
Around the track on 90.7 FM, around the world on IMSA TV and IMSA Radio, together from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Great to have your company. A huge crowd. Just about every parking spot on the infield is taken up. I can just about see your car from there, Jeremy. It's easier to pick out the very bright blue CTSV just to the top of that right-hand side of that picture behind just going out a shot there. I can still see it. It's fine. It's under the tree. It'll be great for the run down to the airport
on the pole
tonight. I did get pole. Yes. I'm just hearing that the International Space Station astronauts are commenting on my parking as well, because you can see it from space. It's a beautiful bright metallic blue, and has the V8 engine that has been well, certainly last season dominating in DPI in the prototype category. Cadillac not having it so easy this year, with a raft of changes and the engine being downsized just a little bit. You can see why the guys love to drive it. Huge amount of torque from that road car engine at 6.2 litres and supercharged, 640 foot-pounds of torque, 650 horsepower in a 4-door sedan is a recipe for big grins. Dane Cameron also happy at the moment with his Acura as he goes past the second place car already in GT Daytona, and we're only on lap number 9.
That's right. He's already, yes, exactly, on lap 8. He's lapped almost all of the GTD field, so this is going to be a constant battle now all the way through, working their way through traffic all the time, and that gap he had, 3.1 seconds, is already down to less than 2. His pace on that last lap was a 1:11.6. He had been doing, if you remember, low 1:8s, so that's 3.5 seconds he is losing as he works his way through the traffic.
Always difficult for the
patience.
Yes, well, always difficult. It's what we said in our Porsche keys to the race, isn't it? Yep. Make sure you get your passing points perfectly planned. And it's always difficult for the leader, Jeremy. He's the first one that hits the traffic, so that effect, and I don't mean this in any way detrimentally, but he wakes up the guys that are going by there, having their own battles, some of them down the field, battling for position in class, and then all of a sudden the blue flag isn't just for the guy who's trying to take your position, it's for the leader coming through. And that again, Jeremy, is where your team comes in. Get on the phone, you've got the leader coming up to you, he'll be with you in half a lap's time. Yeah,
and already for Helio Castroneves, who's just not used to this sort of frenetic activity, he's lost a position to Ryan Diel on that last lap around. So the number 22 car, Ryan Diel, up from 7th on the grid into 5th position. And has pulled away a decent distance from Helio Castroneves, who has got Sebastian Saavedra closing in on him in the rhubarb and custard, the yellow and dark red Ligier prototype, which is very, very quick indeed. Yeah, it is, and Helio, he's such a great character. I mean, he is absolutely loving the challenge here of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I was having lunch yesterday, and with my back to him, and I got this tap on the shoulder, and I looked around. It was Helio. I've known him since he first came over to Indy Lights 25 years ago now, for goodness sake, nearly. And he was beaming from ear, not quite 25 years, sorry, Helio, but he was beaming. 7 at the time, of course. He was beaming from ear to ear, and this is despite the fact he had a big crash the previous day. He said, Jeremy, this place is so much fun. I absolutely love it. It's pure commitment, he said, all commitment, and he's so much in awe of the place itself, but also of the job his teammates are doing. The Ricky Taylor and Dane Cameron, who's running out front, of course, in this race. He can't believe the amount of speed they are carrying through these corners. And talk of Ricky Taylor takes us down for our first Continental Tire pit lane report of the race, where Shea Adam is watching Ricky Taylor, perhaps not doing what we thought he might be doing at this time, which I would have thought would have been nothing at all. Well, he's getting in the zone. He's got his helmet on, his Hans device and everything, and they do not have Mr. Cindric on the pit box this weekend. He's out playing in cornfields in Iowa with some kid named Joseph. I think Jeremy would know a little bit about him. Right. But it means that their strategist has been changed up this weekend. They have Ricky ready to go, and as soon as a caution happens after the 15-minute window has elapsed, which I believe it now has, if they can, they will bring in Helio and get him out of the car fairly quickly, putting Ricky in for the majority of the race. Thank you, Shea Adam, as our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, and it's loud on pit lane, and you could hear those Porsches going through there. I didn't have to look out the window to realise that was the 911, the Corvette rumbling through, and then the 912, followed by the slightly different sound of the V6 Eco Boost engine in Ryan Briscoe's Ford. So that was the GTLM field going through behind Shea. She was making that Continental Tire pit lane report. We are just over 15 minutes into the race. Let's take our first Cadillac in-race update. Cadillac V-Series, because real races never take time off. It's an Acura that leads from a Cadillac, 0.8 of a second. Dane Cameron the 6th from the number 10, the shiny black Konica Minolta TPI VR. Renger van der Zande in second. He's got 0.7 of a second on the dark red, soul red crystal, that's called. Lovely colour, and available on your streetcar masters as well. Jonathan Bomarito makes up the top 3. Robert Alon in the yellow, number 85 JDC Miller Motorsport Orica. That's the first of the global LMP2 cars, and that is in 4th position, all running in the prototype category, of course. In GTLM, Le Mans winner Nick Tandy has got an outright Le Mans win to his name. The 911 is now nearly 5 seconds ahead of Jan Magnussen
in the Chevy Corvette number 3 in second, and Lawrence Van Tu about a second further back in third. Ryan Briscoe, Ollie Gavin and Jesse Krohn for Ford, Chevy and BMW make up the top 6 in GTLM. And in GT Daytona, the 2 Lexus that locked out the front row for Jack Hawksworth and Dominic Baumann, the chrome red number 15 and the bright chrome blue number 14 are still leading. There's almost 4 seconds between the teammates, and then 5.5 seconds back to Brian Sellers, who has 3/4 of a second in his Lamborghini Huracan ahead of that Stars and Stripes number 33 AMG GT of Ben Keating. 2 hours, 25 minutes to go, and that's your Cadillac in-race update, Cadillac V-Series, because real races never take time off.
And this will be 13 laps completed now by our race leader, and he's also already now lapped also the GTLM cars. That battle for second place rages now between Drago van der Zande and Jonathan Bomarito all over him. Just
a moment. Misha Goichberg has a look down the inside in the number 99, trying to get through that GT Le Mans traffic, as Jeremy was mentioning. Goes past Oliver Gavin, man from Yardley Hastings. He is Yardley Hastings' most accomplished sports car driver. And if you knew Yardley Hastings, you'll know what a upside down compliment that is. He is Yardley Hastings' finest sports car driver. That's how we've always described him down there, and he takes that with good part. Jesse Krohn showing some good speed with that Rahal Letterman Lanagan BMW. That car, the new M8 GT LM, in its Stars and Stripes livery from last weekend at Watkins Glen, making some improvements to that car, and the pace certainly coming up. A very new concept, came together quite late for BMW and only made its race debut at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona in, well, the end of January, so hasn't really even had 6 months of running competitively, that car. 25 teammate is Alexander Sims, right behind that battle for what is effectively, well, not effectively, what is 5th, 6th and 7th. Joey Hahn still off the pace just a little bit and hasn't come through yet in 8th position in the 66 Ford. Now he goes through. He's another 1.6 seconds further back. A front suspension problem on that car in qualifying meant that that car didn't really put in a representative time, and the guys at Chip Ganassi very, very careful to make sure that everything was sorted and safe for that car. Yeah, I spoke to Joey this morning about that, and he said he tried to put in a lap time. He was actually only marginally slower than the next car, but he said it was just too risky. The front suspension hadn't probably seated properly, let's say, when it was all put together again for a variety of reasons, and it just wasn't safe, so he brought it in and get that car as it should be for the race. So just an unfortunate little thing, but no harm, no foul. Dane Cameron has had his lead cut to just 3.5 seconds as he has to carve through more traffic. Renke van der Zande on the hurry up at the moment. Took almost half a second out of the leader, and he has to, because Jonathan Bomarito is right with him, just on half a second behind the 55 car, through and down towards the first corner. The 2 Action Express run cars, 2 different colour schemes, 2 in different entrants. Christian Fittipaldi in the 5 Mustang Sampling racing car, and the 31, the red and white car, is Eric Curran in the Whelen Engineering racing car. That again with Stars and Stripes added for last week's holiday in the States. I always think it's a nice turnaround that we race down at Watkins Glen on Canada Day, and we're always up here in the week of the 4th of July. Back-to-back races for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, and the whole season live on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. We're trackside at the outside of the final corner, the IMSA Broadcast Centre. And the lower half of the top 10 now fighting their way through the leaders in GT Le Mans, as the number 5 of Christian Fittipaldi hasn't had a huge amount of driving since Sebring subbing for Joao Barbosa, who's had a very nasty injury to his left arm and wrist, and he is here this weekend, Joao, making the best of it, still very smiley, still wants to talk, getting used to having the pot on his hand. I was going to say plaster cast, it's not that anymore, it's some kind of composite, blue composite. and working hard to get back in the car. Christian Fittipaldi being the super sub for that team this weekend again.
Place change for 7th position. The number 77 Mazda of Tristan Nunez found a way past Sebastian Saavedra on that lap, and then went personal best in sector 1 after he'd done so, trying to close the gap up to Helio Castroneves, whose next car ahead of him, about 4 seconds down the road. But that gap at the front, it just continues to oscillate depending upon the traffic, but 3-second margin certainly isn't too comfortable in this early stages.
Yeah, and the 6th position, Helio Castroneves might not be happy either, Shea Adam, as this Continental Tire pit lane reports.
Ricky Taylor puts his gloves on. The only thing that he was not already wearing as they pulled him off of the pit box. Helio Castroneves brings the 7 in. The first pit caller of this race will be the Acura Team Penske, closely followed in by the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac. The Penske comes to its marks. Helio pops open the door. A little bit of trouble getting the seatbelts off, and now, oh, and we've got the 16 Porsche off at turn 5. John will let me know if that goes to a full course caution. But the 7 pit stop going well. They are changing all 4 Continental tires, strapping Ricky in while putting in fuel. They won't need a full load, of course, because they didn't come in with an empty. Now they're losing about 2 seconds. This will be genius if it goes full course yellow, because they will be the first car back out. The 66 Ford rumbles down past me as well. They have done a driver change at the Whelen Engineering Cadillac, so that means Eric Curran is out, the guy who won the race the last 2 races in a row, including Dane Cameron. That was his partner back then. Now it is Felipe Nasr taking his first laps around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in a race. And for the number 66, they are doing fuel and tires, but no driver change yet. So Joey Hand staying behind on that car. And this has sparked a flurry of pit stops, John. A lot of people up on the wall. Corvette Racing is up and ready, and the Red Dragon is ready to receive service as well. The caution is out, full course yellow. We have a race on our hands.
As we were saying in the Porsche keys to the race, react to circumstances. That call would have been made by the driver and the team. Helio Castroneves says there's a Porsche off at 5. I don't think he's coming out of there. I think we should risk this. We're down in 6th, 7th position, whatever it is. The pits are now closed, so the leaders can't come in, and that means Dane Cameron's lead will disappear. Shea Adam, who else got in before that yellow came out?
Well, I'm not sure if they got in before the yellow, John, and neither are they. The number 99, the winners from the last weekend's race at Watkins Glen, the Gainsco Red Dragon, number 99 came in. Fuel only for that car. Misha Goikhberg's still behind the wheel, but the number 5, the Mustang sampling Cadillac, came in, stopped in its box, and they waved him back out, so they did not think that they made it in before the cut.
Well, that's a very sensible thing to do. If you don't think you've made it, don't take the chance. But great work by Helio Castroneves. 14:26 is when the full course yellow was thrown. Shea Adam.
And I'm hearing now on the pit lane, thanks to Johnny Knotts, that the 99 did not make it in before the full course caution. So that means that that will be a penalty for full service, because they didn't take emergency service and they didn't need it.
Right, okay. At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, we'll have Michelin Post-Race Tech discussing some of the points arising from this weekend's racing after the checkered flag. But for now, this is great news for John Bennett and for Core Autosport, because they were round about 40 seconds, a little bit more, behind the leader. But now, of course, it'll all get closed up again. Yeah, but it would have been even better if they'd come in the previous lap, which was when the number 7 and number 31 cars came in. If they'd have done that, they'd have been really golden, because they came out in 3rd place once everybody else made their pit stops. So number 7 car, we'll have to wait and see whether they were reacting to that off, or whether they're just making a planned change in any case. I fancy it was the former, in which case number 15 team kind of missed a bit of a trick, possibly missed a trick there. Shea Adam can update us on the 99 Gainsco Red Dragon. Shea?
They disputed it with race control, and they were correct. They entered an open pit, but the 5 Mustang sampling car would not have been, so very heads up by them.
There was a few seconds between them, and from our vantage point here outside the final corner, there's a little flashing yellow light, which is just before the end of the tyre barrier on the exit of turn 9 on the right-hand side of the racetrack. That is the commitment line. If you are to that line. Well, actually, no. There's a line about 20 yards before that.
Yes.
And then the light is about 20 yards further on, so you can see the light as you're crossing the line. That's the theory. That's what it was explained to drivers this morning. If you cross that line before you see the light flashing yellow, then you're okay. If not, then you've got the opportunity either to drive down the pit lane, which is what number 5 car did, or get back out onto the racetrack.
So let's see what happens and what that does. We've still got 2 hours and 15 minutes left. The pits have been opened for the pro classes, prototype and GTLM. Eric Curran got out of the number 31 car, but he hasn't done his drive time, Jeremy.
It doesn't matter. It's 10 minutes as a minimum for pro drivers.
Okay.
It's 10 minutes for Truman Aiken, which is the Pro-Am class, which they're not in. The minimum time is just 10 minutes.
That's why I have you standing next to me, because I get very easily confused.
Yeah, no. There's the regulations here, but the number 99 and the 5, they were almost together, but they were split by a couple of seconds or so as they came onto pit lane. Number 99 car just made it. Number 5 didn't. Here, though, now with the pits open, come all the rest of the leaders, with the exception of the race leader car number 6. That's interesting.
I wondered if they'd split strategy. That means they'll get both of their cars at the front of the field. Shea Adam is about to take a deep breath and talk very quickly in this Continental Tire pit lane report.
Okay, well, for the number 10, the Konica Minolta DPI Cadillac, that is taking fuel and tires, but Renger van de Zande is staying behind the wheel. The sister car to the 99 Red Dragon, the Banana Boat, number 85, no driver change there. It's still Robert Alon, but they are giving him fuel as well, no tires. There's fuel and tires for both of these Corvettes as they are leaving the drivers in the car, and for the other 4 GT, the number 67 that came in, they are doing fuel and tires, no driver change. The 10 gets out ahead of the 22, the Kilo Pirani car. The 7 came back in for a splash more fuel, very smart, as the 85 leaves 3rd, and then one of the 2 Mazdas. We still have the Mustang Sampling Cadillac on the pit lane. They are doing a driver change, so that is Felipe Albuquerque getting his first laps around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park during a racing situation. Now he leaves. He is the last car off of the pit lane, so we'll be joining the back of the train.
There was a wave round before the pits opened, so any of the GTLM or GT Daytona cars that got caught between the race leader and their own leader will have been released to go around to the back of the queue before the pits open for their class, and the pits are now open for GT Daytona. So what we've got here, Jeremy, is a completely split strategy from the Penske organisation. Dane Cameron is staying out there. He's holding on to that track position. And the 7 car was in and out, and we'll see where Ricky Taylor cycles back to once we get the wave by.
The 7 car had been in before the caution. I don't know why that came in again. That didn't need to come in again then. Don't understand that one, because they came in before the pits were closed, so they'd already done their driver change in that number 7 car. They hand over to Ricky Taylor. So I'd love to know why that car came in just now. Probably just to get some fuel.
I think that was
but
to
there's
get
only a couple of laps. But it lost the opportunity there to leapfrog to the entire front of the field. And I'm not quite sure why the number 6 car wouldn't come in either, because we're well into a fuel stint here. We were sort of 3/4 of the way through a fuel stint, and they did not come in. Number 54 car did not come in. The reason for that is because John Bennett's not yet fulfilled his minimum drive time. So
but he's up in 4th now, by the way.
Yes, well, no, he'll be 2nd by the time when they come around. The
GTD leaders haven't taken the opportunity of coming in, but Brian Sellers has 3rd place in the GT Daytona category, leading the GT Daytona Championship. Has come onto the pit lane. Shea Adam.
Brian Sellers has come in alongside the 93 Acura from MSR, the 63 Ferrari, and the number, I think that's a 58 Porsche. It's fuel for all of the cars. No tires going on. The ones down towards pit in, pit out for the 48 Lamborghini and the 93 Acura. Tires going on both of those cars as well as fuel. No driver changes yet. So it will still be Brian Sellers. The first car back off the pit lane so far has been Cooper McNeil in the Ferrari with a small splash of fuel. Then is the 58 Porsche of Kristina Nielsen, but she is beaten back out by Brian Sellers. So a little bit longer on the fuel stop as the tire change still going on for the number 93 Acura, and that will still be Justin Marks when it goes back out, which should be as soon as they pull the car off the air jacks. Still haven't pulled the car off the air jacks. There we go. Now he goes. And empty pit lane. Next time by, John, we should see John Bennett in the 54 Core Autosport Orica come in. That crew is up on the pit wall.
I'm not sure they will, because there's not going to be a final wave by, although there will be a class split. Those words going out from race control at the moment, and all the teams will get the same text messages that we see on our screens, as well as augmented by the switch message system from race control. Jeremy.
Yeah, what they mean by that is all the prototype cars will move through the order so they are nose to tail, then the GTLMs, and then the GTDs. Yeah.
I think the 7 car, this is just my theory, Jeremy, I think the 7 car came in because they reacted to that Porsche off the road.
Fine, but why did they come in again then? That's what I want to know, because they didn't need to come in again just now on that. When everybody else came in. If they'd stayed out, they'd have moved right through the front of the field. And I'm curious to know why the number 6 car stayed out as well.
Does that take them close enough to the end to take away the splash at the end? Maybe I don't know.
It's a bit marginal. That's true, because I think it's certainly going to be difficult now if there isn't another full course caution to get to the end on just 2 more pit stops. So that I guess must be the reason. Number 54 car
comes,
is in, right?
Yeah, number 54 comes in, but we'll have at least 1 more lap of full course yellow. The bad news is that car will drop all the way down to the tail of the field and will not be allowed to take its position through the GTD and GTLM field. So it will actually be right at the back of the line. And John Bennett, I presume, Shea, is going to stay in that car, is he?
Nope. Colin Brown has gotten in. So it won't matter that he's coming from the back of the field, because Colin loves nothing more than playing video games just like that.
30 minutes, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So we're 31 minutes into the race. So that's worked out really well for Core Autosport, and Jeff Brown on the tactics there will have been giggling just a little bit when he saw that time tick over, because they get a free pit stop and they put the man who has been fastest in every session into the car that has been fastest in every session. And now Colin can go all the way at the end. He's got some ground to make up, some cars to pass, but he'll relish that challenge.
He's got to pass pretty much the whole field, certainly all the prototype cars, and like I say, he'd be grinning even more broadly if he'd taken that plunge to come in as soon as they saw that car off the racetrack earlier on. But in any case, now, so that's why they do this. That's why they make that strategic call, is to get John Bennett's time in there, not lose a lap, and he was doing a very respectable job at the back of the field in prototypes.
Well, do you know what? He's got out whilst the class split is going on.
Yeah.
So he's going to get the wave by.
Yeah, he's going to be at the back of the prototype field.
Yeah, but that means that what he hasn't got, Jeremy, is 20 GT cars to get by. Right. So he will be right on the tail of Philippe Albuquerque in the number 5 Cadillac. And all right, that's a quick car, but his car is quicker, and he knows it is.
Yeah, absolutely right. But he's got to be patient now to work his way up the order. But the class split, as they call it, to get those cars into class by class for the restart, that can happen all the way up until they come up for the green flag. So he had plenty of time to work his way around and move past those GTD cars and take up position at the tail of the prototype field. Here comes the safety car into the pits.
Take a deep breath again. Dane Cameron has to do it all over again and comes out the final corner brilliantly. A little bit of wheel spin from Misha Goikhberg, and Felipe Nasser is all over the back. The 2 red cars, 2nd and 3rd. Renger van der Zande in 4th in the glossy black Konica Minolta sponsored Cadillac. Acura Oreca, Cadillac, Nissan on the restart, with Ryan DL having to fight off Ricky Taylor in the Acura side by side up the inside of turn 3, and there's a little touch between the black Konica Minolta Cadillac and the 31 red-white Wheeler Engineering car. And there was just a little bit of movement on the rear bodywork on the left-hand side of Renger van der Zande's car, just indicating there was the slightest of brushes as he went through. He gets a great punch out of Moss Corner, and he's already right up the tailpipes of the 99 of Misha Goikhberg, and I don't think that Misha's going to be able to hold on. Oh, he's picking up a bit of speed. That's quick in a straight line, of course. That Oreca trimmed right out that car.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, they're running as much downforce as they can, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they tried that yesterday, trimming it right out, but it was really sketchy through the corners. So, no, they put the downforce back on again on that car, but it is still... Whoops, he's made a mistake.
Final corner.
Yep, he slid wide at the final corner.
Cold tyres, I reckon, Jeremy.
Yep.
And there goes Renger van der Zande. Now it's game on. Front straight has got debris on it from the restart. Dane Cameron making his escape and making it well. 3 seconds at the end of that restart lap with just over 2 hours and 5 minutes still to go at the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix. IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship racing live around the world and around the track. Good to have your company. XM Sirius with us again as well this afternoon, as they are for the whole of the season. Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, Colin Brown already made up 2 positions on that lap. He's up to 10th place now in car number 54. In GTLM, the number 24 car did not make a pit stop, so Jesse Krohn is leading that category. The number 66 Ford also didn't make a pit stop. It was running in 2nd place, or did it make a stop? Yes, it did. But it was running in 2nd place. It's already lost 3 positions on that restart lap. Don't know what happened there.
Brian Sellers, the first of the GT Daytonas that stopped. He's down in 7th position. Keep an eye on that championship leading car. And already Philippe Albuquerque and Colin Brown working their way through. And there, the 58 Wright Motorsports car is off at turn 5, at the exit of turn 5. And that has beached itself in the dirt, if that makes sense. And I don't think that car is coming out of there. They've had a wretched few races this season, and it is a full course caution. Has to be. That car is in a hazardous position, and it is Kristina Nielsen. Now that has happened straight after the previous yellow, so this will be what's called a quickie yellow. Big black marks behind Kristina. I think she may have got help. Oh, and it may have been from the team car. Just unsettled her coming out of the corner. Certainly that was the closest car, and it's gone in right rear to the left-hand side. And it's quite muddy on that part of the circuit, which I was surprised to see, although there was some heavy rain here on Thursday evening. Kristina in the car talking to the team, trying to get it restarted. It wasn't a heavy accident, but I just think she can't get the car out. I think there might have been a touch there to pitch the car sideways. Very difficult to see from the angle that we have here in the booth, and sorry for trying to describe that to those of you listening on radio. It's coming out of the middle part of Moss Corner, and Kristina getting very sideways, almost as if the 16 car Michael Shine had stuck his nose up the inside. Exactly what we were seeing in the Porsche keys to the race. You don't want to stick your nose in where it's not wanted in the fast or the slow corners here. Doesn't need much there with the camber falling away to get the car starting to slide. Kristina looked like she'd caught it for a moment, and then the back end of the Porsche, all of that momentum and inertia caused by the engine at the back of the car, swinging back the other way and pitching her quite violently into the wall. Although it wasn't a hard hit and the bodywork doesn't seem to be too badly damaged. There'll be no pass around here because it being a quickie yellow. Now, in fairness, I don't think that'll disadvantage anyone either, because I don't think Dane Cameron had the chance to get up to the back of the field and put anybody down. A quick word for Philippe Albuquerque and Colin Brown, who got past Sebastian Saavedra and Robert Allon and moved up to 9th and 10th. So Colin Brown already moving back up through the field, and it will be a flat tour for the Wright Motorsports number 58.
Yeah, the number 66 car is slipped all the way from second at the restart to 3, 4, 5, 6th position. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with Joey Hand. He's really struggling for some reason in number 66 car at the restart. He was struggling at the beginning as well, actually, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
But Dane Cameron at the front, he'd pulled out 4 seconds there before making his pit stop, and he's going to need. Excuse me, before the caution came out for the second time. And he wanted to put the hammer down and pull away if he possibly could before making his pit stop. He is the only one of the prototypes yet to make his first pit stop of the day. So the good news is from here he can definitely get to the end on 3 stops, but the question is, can the other guys? I think with this extra caution period, it's going to make it easier for them. So I'd still love to know why the number 7 car came for the second time. If you can try and find that out for us, that I would like to know.
Kristina Nielsen is pointing back in the right direction, or at least the 58 Wright Motorsports Porsche that is she's driving is, and she's back off on the circuit. And this will be a short yellow, so we'll be getting back to green as quickly as possible. Come on, put a headset on while we're under yellow. It's perfect timing. Got a couple of guests in the booth. We've got as a broadcaster, I can't wait to talk to this gentleman because he's here with his, well, I'm going to say, Roger, Werner, that you're here with your Ackers hat on. You haven't actually got a Ackers hat on, literally, but Roger, welcome to our IMSA broadcast booth. Not perhaps as salubrious as some of you seen down through the years. Thank you for joining us. How are you enjoying IMSA racing this afternoon?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm having a great afternoon here as an IMSA guest. I'm not really doing too much officially, but enjoying this great racetrack that the new ownership group has done so much to improve. I remember it fondly from my youth, and I just can't believe how nice it is. On a sunny day like this, with the grid we've got here today, it's just magic. It's great.
We've been saying all the time, all the improvements have come without losing the essential character of the tarmac and the layout of the track itself, and that's so important.
Absolutely, absolutely. They've retained the feel, and you know, it's the St. Andrews of motorsports courses right here in North America. I mentioned this to Carlo. They've just done a beautiful job retaining the original character and challenge of the circuit, but just making it so beautiful and such a nice place to camp out for a weekend.
Roger, what I've got to ask you about the change in sports broadcasting. You were the driving force behind Speed, what became Speed down through the years. We're broadcasting to the world, we're streaming to the world. Things have changed, and changed very, very quickly.
They have, and I've tried to stay on the bleeding edge of these developments without losing too much blood, and am now partnered with the Discovery Networks in a joint venture company called the Motor Trend Group, and so we are doing streaming on a subscription video on demand service called Motor Trend, and doing some racing. Sadly, not yet IMSA, but maybe someday. You guys have a great series going here. Scott and the team have just made this thing grow, Roger, so dramatically.
On behalf of every sports fan, motorsports fan in the world, I say thank you for what you've done down through the years. Stay with us for a little while. We're going back to green flag racing, and Dane Cameron has to do it all over again in that white and silver Acura, the Roger Penske car. I'm sure Roger Penske and Tim Cindric are listening or watching somewhere. They're in Iowa now, they were in Daytona yesterday. It's a big weekend for Penske, and coming through the field, Ricky Taylor, who was installed in that number 7 car during that last pit stop when Helio Castroneves came in and anticipating the yellow flag that did come, that first of the 2 yellow flag periods with the full course yellows, and that car now already back up into 6th position with the prototypes at the head of the field, battling it out tooth and nail. But another great restart, Jeremy Shaw, from Dane Cameron.
Yeah, it really was. He's been on fire all weekend long. He's been super fast in that car. He's been the only guy to hold a candle to Colin Brown, and he's going to take advantage of this racetrack, trying to pull away before he makes his first pit stop of the day. And quite sure how far he can go. Probably another maybe 5 or 6 or 7 laps, something like that. And then we'll see that car onto pit lane. Number 7 car, meanwhile, of Ricky Taylor. He made up a position, I think, on that. Did he make a decision on that restart? Perhaps
yes,
not.
he did. No, he did. Yeah,
he did.
Straight away. He was on it like the proverbial rat up a drain pipe. He was away like the clappers there. JT Lamont, Jesse Krohn, who didn't stop for BMW number 24, the Rahal Letterman Lanigan car, is still ahead, but he's got Nick Tandy. Well, if Nick Tandy was any closer to them, then they'd have to make proper introductions. He's less than a couple of tenths behind them, and then Lawrence Vantour is only a couple or 3 tenths further back than that. They're having a great scrap, and in GTD neither of the Lexus pitted either, so it's still poleman Jack Hawksworth in the chrome red car, the 15 car, leading from his teammate Dominic Baumann, and it's 3 seconds at the front of the field. Roger Werner, the chairman of ACUS, with us in the broadcast centre. How is motorsport in the US at the moment? ACUS, for those that don't know, is the overarching body of American motorsport, and effectively sits on the FIA committees around the world. How do you feel things are going in the States, and is your voice from the States being heard at the highest level of world motorsport?
Yes, I think we've enjoyed in recent years a very productive relationship with the folks in Paris, and In fact, our president, Nick Craw, our former president, Nick Craw, we now have a new president, George Silberman, but Nick sat on many of the commissions and was president of the FIA Senate for a number of years, so was able to do quite a bit within the construct of the FIA internationally to benefit American motorsport. And the good news is American motorsport is still a big and thriving business. Certain segments of it obviously are doing better than others, but road racing in particular, IMSA and open wheel IndyCar have both made big strides in the last couple of years. NHRA has a new TV deal, which is very, very good. NASCAR's hanging in and doing well with all the changes they've made to their formats, and so I'm optimistic. Our industry is still on very solid footing.
And the other work that the FIA does, which we don't perhaps talk about enough, is in other forms of motoring, and particularly in road safety. There's a huge campaign going on at the moment, which I know ACUS is involved with as well. Yes,
we are to a degree. We're not as involved as some of the clubs internationally, and as you probably know, the FIA really has two divisions. One governs motorsport and one governs what they call mobility, which is sort of road and transportation in general. We are less involved in that side of it here in the States. We're primarily a motorsports industry group.
Roger, lovely to see you. Roger Werner, the chairman of ACUS and the man who brought us all that great TV motorsport down through the years. Absolute pleasure and honour to have you.
Thank you.
Roger. We'll have another guest in just a moment after we've had a Continental Tire pit lane report from Shea Adam.
And some of the GTLM cars might want to brace themselves because Bill Auberlen doesn't know what class he's racing in. He is getting in the GTD number 96 Turner BMW. This is the car that won last weekend at the 6 Hours of the Glen. And a bit further back from him, the number 44 Audi R8 LMS is having Andy Lally installed. So we have our first big hitters of the driver changes taking place right now. Waiting on the fuel for the BMW, waiting on the fuel for the Audi. Who's going to make it back out first? It's going to be Bill Auberlen. Not far behind, though, is Andy Lally. So those two will be out on track together. Oh boy.
Shea Adam with that Continental Tire pit lane report. We're live trackside at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
New lap record in 2 of the last 3 laps by Dane Cameron, taking full advantage of that clear track. 1 minute 7.863, new track record.
Yes, the pace here is extraordinary. Carlo Fidani is the owner of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Thank you from all the fans' point of view and from mine, as someone who's been here since before your tenure, sir. I'm absolutely sincere about what I said to Roger Werner there earlier on, about how it's been very clever that you've managed to retain the atmosphere and the character of the track whilst improving it in safety terms and in infrastructure terms. Was that a key point of you guys taking this place over and running with it?
Oh, absolutely. I just want to mention that I'm only a part owner. Ron is, fellows, as everyone knows, is the face of the place, but absolutely essential that we retain the integrity of the track. I mean, it was a big part of our getting involved. The improvements that we made have been largely in anticipation of the customer of the future, and you and Roger were speaking about that earlier. We really do feel that the crowds are improving. There's enthusiasm for the place like never before, and I think that's largely because it isn't what it used to be. You
guys took a quite aggressive and unusual way of promoting this event in particular, the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix, with the IMSA championships this weekend. It's often said that you can promote an event too early, but you went out right at the early part of the year and did some quite innovative stuff to get some early ticket sales.
No, absolutely. You know, it's a business that's growing. It's a tough environment. It's tougher than ever been before. But we recognize that IMSA is on their game like no other sport series, and they have more OEMs than ever before. And as a result, it's if we can't do it now, as Scott says, we'll never be able to do it. And it's important that if we're going to engage these folks, we need to do it early. We need to do it early this year for next year, and so we're on that path.
I'm going to blow your cover here early on because when I was talking to Ron earlier on and you came in, the enthusiasm that you were showing as people were coming in. I know that this is a business and you're a hard-headed and successful businessman, but this really gladdens your heart to see this place full and people queuing to get in this morning.
Well, it does, because, you know, the place is privately owned, but it's really a public venue if you think about it, and it's
it's almost a community facility.
Well, it absolutely is. It's as Durham likes to refer to as the jewel of Durham, and you know, we're trying to polish it and do the best we can with it. So it is a lot of fun to see people come back and enjoy it like they've never been able to before.
Brilliant job, Carlo. You and the rest of the ownership group have got a big thumbs up from Jeremy and I, and I'm sure from a lot of people that are out there as well will want to say thank you very much indeed. We'll take another Continental Tire pit lane report. Shea Adam watching a pit stop for an Acura.
This is just getting way too fun, John. The names of the drivers getting into the GTD cars are amazing. We just had Lasse Ascherbach, the GTD winner 12 months ago, get installed into the number 93 Acura. Now we have the number 33 Mercedes, and Ben Keating getting out. Jerome Bleekemolen getting in this car, still with the American flag painted all over it. It is getting fuel and tires for the Riley Motorsport organization. And we have up on the wall, Cooper McNeil will be coming in soon and handing over to Jeff Siegel in the number 63 Scuderia Corse Ferrari. And the pit board is down for the first of the Lexuses. It will be the 14, the blue one, handing over to race winner from yesterday, Kyle Marcelli, Canadian boy just from up the street in Barrie. They have fuel and tires ready for that car as well. Just waiting. Now Bleekemolen is sent. So we're right smack dab in the middle of our pit sequence.
Thank you, Shea. Let's take a Cadillac in-race update then with an hour and 50 minutes to go. It's Dane Cameron that leads by over 6 seconds. The number 6 Acura from the number 10 Cadillac. Renger van der Zande in second. Philippe Nasser in third position. That's a bit of a turnaround there. Yep.
Nasser got past Misha Goikberger on that last lap, so he's up into third position, kind of a 31.
And the leader, as I'm doing the update, typical. It always happens like this. We'll come back to the update in a moment because the leader is now on the pit lane, Shea Adam, with this Continental Tire pit lane report.
Big question is going to be, does Dane Cameron stay in for another stint? The answer? Yes, he is. He's getting fuel and 4 new Continental tires, and then he will be going out for another round at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We have the 14 Lexus in and the 63 Scuderia Corse Ferrari, but another prototype has come into the pit lane. This is the number 22, the Nissan DPI. Ryan Dial brought it in, and Pippo Durrani, not his normal driving partner, will be taking it back out. It is 2 cars combined into one, rebuilt a Zombiezilla, as Ryan Dial called it the other day. The number 6 pit stop is complete. Dane Cameron is back out, and now we just wait for the 63 and the 14, the Ferrari and the Lexus. Who's going to get out first? It's going to be the Ferrari, who beats out the Lexus. And Kyle Marcelli has been cleared to leave, had a little bit of trouble getting the car fired back up, but now does just that.
And I'm not convinced that pit stop for the 22 was scheduled, because it's very early, and he came in a long way behind the rest of the field too. So I think there might be I fear there might be a problem with that number 22 Nissan. I hope I'm wrong.
Right, okay, we'll keep an eye on that. And let me, well, I'm going to put the, I'll do the Cadillac in-race update for the other classes. In GTD, Jack Hawksworth has just come into the pit in that Lexus, so he'll give up the lead to Alvaro Parent. The 14 car has rejoined with Kyle Marcelli. They were first and second. Remember, they didn't pit under the safety car. So Alvaro Parent, who also did not pit under the safety car, leads, but also some pit stop in the 86, second in the championship for Catherine Legg in that car. So Brian Sellers, who did pit, only 0.3 of a second behind the number 86 Acura. That's the XM, the Sirius XM car. He will inherit the lead back again when that car finally pulls down into the lane. In GT Le Mans, Jesse Krohn is hanging on there in the lead, and this is a great run for the BMW. Nick Tandy has not been able to find a way through. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 coming past us now, and that's your top 4 in GT Le Mans as they go across the line. Jesse Krohn in the BMW, Nick Tandy in the 911 Porsche, Lauren Vantur in the 912 Porsche, and then Jan Magnussen with Ollie Gavin right there as well. The 2 Chevy Corvettes are right in the mix. At the top of the field for the moment, Renger van der Zande leads after the pit stop for the erstwhile leader, the number 6 Dane Cameron, back out on track with Dane still at the wheel. Felipe Nasser in second place in the 31. That's the bright red Wheeland Cadillac in second place, but now 3.2 seconds back down the road, and 3.5 seconds further back, it's the Oreca of Misha Goikberg, the red gain score Red Dragon, the 99 car, with Ricky Taylor closing in on him on the 7 Acura. Remember, that was the car that came in very early with Helio Castro Neves at the wheel before the first full course yellow, and then had a splash of fuel as well. We're still trying to get to the bottom of that to see what clever tactics we think are going on. That's your Cadillac in-race update. Cadillac V-Series, because real races never take time off. Shea, Adam, did you manage to get an answer on that, that Acura Penske splash of fuel?
Negative, I did not. And as the 22 ESM car went back out onto the racetrack, not back behind the wall, it did not sound like it was running on all cylinders, John. So keep an eye on that car, which we know they've already had engine problems in the last week.
Yes, multiple engine problems, correct. 3 times engine problems at Watkins Glen. And through the first corner then, here's that battle. 99 Gainscore car has got Ricky Taylor almost alongside, was alongside, but it looked very cleverly as though Misha Goikberg used the Ford GT as a bit of a screen, or pick in basketball terms. And Misha Goikberg holds on to 3rd place with Ricky Taylor, Jonathan Bomarito, Colin Brown, right in there in the 54 car. Remember, that was the car that gave up its pole position start to get the drive time done for John Bennett earlier on. And Colin Brown, the fastest man on the track all week, is living up to that reputation.
It's intense back in the pack there, it really is. And particularly as they were working there through the GTLM traffic as well, it was mighty tight. But out in front, Renger van der Zande, what a great job that team has done. And he is pulling away at the front of the field. But Felipe Nasr, he's also pulled away a goodly margin from the rest of the field, having made that pass on Misha Goikberg a couple laps ago. He's already, what, 3.5 seconds down the road. But the battle behind him, behind Goikberg, is absolutely wild. Well, the 54 car there, also I think making up ground on that last lap.
I'm just going to.
So is Jonathan Bomarito, actually.
Yes, no, Bomarito he's got his pace is really good. I'm just going to settle back now and for the next hour and 3/4 just sit and watch this. Yeah. No, I can't do that, can I? I've got to keep talking about it.
22 car back into the pits, by the way.
Shea Adams' ears did not deceive her. The engine cover on the Nismo-powered prototype is off, and they are staring at the back of it. No great urgency to what's going on down there. Left-hand side of the engine. I wonder if have they lost a header or have they lost a coil pack or something like that. As also into the pit lane, the Alvaro Parent Sirius XM Acura is in the pit lane from the lead. It was in GT Daytona, Shea. It
was, and number 2 now showing on the side as more cars will continue to pass by. That will drop down, but no driver change. They are doing 4 Continental sticker tires on this Acura, and a lot of fuel to let Alvaro go for a full another stint. Catherine Lake still with her fire suit down around her waist, sitting casually, coolly enjoying this nice Canadian weather, and Alvaro back out on the track.
Yeah, Catherine will need to put in 45 minutes in that car to qualify for finishing, a minimum of 45 minutes, but she is a very competent driver. 2nd here in class last year. Right, let's get back to the top of the charts, where the Cadillac of Renger van der Zande, the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing machine, the Konica Minolta sponsored car, leads by 7.5 seconds over Felipe Nasr in 2nd in the 31, the red and white. First of the Oregas now, Misha Goikberg in the 99. That's the first of the global LMP2 cars, insanely quick in a straight line, pulling something like 176 miles an hour, even with a bit of extra wing onto that car from earlier in the weekend. And I'm not even certain that that is VMAX for that car. I think it's still accelerating through the timing point that we have on the far side of the circuit from us. But really, from Misha Goikberg back over Jeremy, it's pretty much right down to 10th position, and Robert Alon. There's a little gap between Tristan Nunez and Sebastian Saavedra, but that's only a second.
Yeah, well, and that's because of some traffic in there, yeah. And it's the same now in GTLM too. The Porsches have got past the BMW, but that's a a big long train now of the top 6 cars with a slight break back to the number 67.
Very, very impressed by Jesse Krohn's ability to stay ahead of Nick Tandy and Lawrence Van Tour. They rolled the dice, Jeremy, stayed out. They have not made a pit stop in that 24 car yet, so they started back at the front of the GTLM field, but that BMW, that thing wasn't gobbled up straight away. It wasn't just blown by the 2 Porsches, and it hasn't had the ultimate pace in lap times, but clearly it is a car that you can race.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
22 is off and running again for Tequila Patron ESM, but now having dropped out of the battle at the sharp end of the field, and it'll be more disappointment for Scott Sharp and Ed Brown and the rest of the team. Oh, a little touch there. 33. The Jerome Blakemole driven Stars and Stripes Mercedes, and that is going to cost the number 4 Corvette of Ollie Gavin a position as Joey Hand leaps on that coming out the final corner. Ollie just being leaned on a little bit by Jerome, who was claiming his piece of road. Ollie down the inside into the right-hander at turn 10. Just had to lift out the throttle, and Joey Hand says thanks very much, goes through. So a change then for 5th position as Joey Hand in what was a slow starting number 66 Chip Ganassi GT car is now reinvigorated. Maybe didn't get on with the first set of tyres. Was there something not quite right? Not sure. Question that we may find out from our pit lane reporter Shea Adam in a wee moment. But it's 9:11, 9:12, 24 Jesse Krohn dropping back into the clutches now of Jan Magnussen in the first of the Chevy Corvettes, the number 3. And then Joey Hand just half a second further back on a bit of a tear at the moment. The Ford number 66 has come to life.
Well, the Porsches are just romping away all of a sudden at the front there. They are pulling out a huge amount in the last 3 or 4 laps over the pursuing BMW, which is still holding off that number 3 Corvette. So it's fast becoming not a battle there, but that battle for 3rd place overall is pretty impressive. But Misha Goldberg clearly using the straight line speed advantage that Orica to good effect and able to hold off Jonathan Bomarito and the rest of that train of cars behind him. But in the meantime, Renger van der Zande, he's got to extend his margin now. It's over 6 seconds. The top 2 Cadillacs running a similar pace and pulling away quite rapidly from Misha Goldberg in 3rd position.
Continental Tire pit lane update on that number 22 ESM machine. They think it is some kind of issue with the turbo, so they're trying to fix it on the pit lane, but ultimately they don't have much to gain at this point, so a chance of a podium out the window, they might call it a day.
Further engine related issues for that. Effectively it's a GT3 engine. It's a Nismo supplied GT3 engine that's similar to what you would find in the GTR. So Ollie Gavin coming through, trying to overtake the 33, and there was just a little touch coming out of the corner, and that was enough for Joey Hand to slide down the inside into turn 1 and take that position. Ollie Gavin fighting straight back though. Next lap around isn't quite close enough to make that 6 on the side. And number 5. No touch between the Ford and the Corvette. The touch was between the Corvette and the AMG GT, just on the apex of the previous corner. Yeah, just a tiny little rub on the back right-hand side of the 33 from Ollie, but he had to lift out the throttle so that he didn't spin Jerome Blakemole around. Pretty solid driving by everybody there. There's no harm done really. Ollie loses a position in a cracking scrap, but really had no other choice other than to lift off there. Fair driving by all. Opportunist manoeuvre, yes, by Joey Hand. Position gained.
Dane Cameron back at the back of the pack now in 11th position in car number 6. The car that led the opening 35 laps of the race before making his pit stop. He is rapidly closing on the field of prototypes ahead of him, closing a couple of seconds a lap on the number 52 car, which is in 10th position, Sebastian Vedra. So Vedra, he must have had a problem a couple of laps ago because he was overtaken by the number 85 car and then all of a sudden dropped quite a long way behind him.
It's Jeremy Shaw. Shea Adam is our Continental Tyre pit lane reporter for the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix here at Continental Tyre Motorsport Park. I'm John Hindhoff, and this is brilliant. Absolutely what we love, everything that we love about mixed class racing here in North America on the road circuit here in Canada. And Colin Brown now, target acquired on Ricky Taylor in the Acura, the white, silver and blue Acura number 7 in a battle itself. Jonathan Bomarito and Misha Goikberg just ahead, and those guys now 5 cars. Goikberg in the red 99, Bomarito in the red 55, Taylor in the mostly white but with a bit of red and black number 7. Then the 54 is the white tangerine with the blue tail fin on it. Then the number 5 of Philippe Albuquerque, that's the dark grey, yellow and white Cadillac. And then behind Albuquerque is the second of the Mazdas, and that's the dark red metallic 77 Mazda. And they are literally line astern. I don't think there's a car's length between all of them. And in fact, in terms of time, there's not even 2.5 seconds to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prototypes. That's a lot of car in a very small bit of real estate.
It is, isn't it?
And driving standards at the moment, absolutely brilliant. And I'm sorry if I put the kibosh on that, and it all goes bonkers. Just noticed a tweet actually for a moment or two ago. Oscar Garcia tweeting at IMSA Radio. I'm probably going to jinx it, but I've got to say one of the best things about IMSA is the driving standards. So many battles, so little incident and avoidable contact. And a couple of other people just saying, in fact, Corvette Racing tweeting, fans around CTMP official getting an incredible view the last couple of laps, the entire prototype field coming through the GT Le Mans field, everyone unscathed. Great driving by all involved. At IMSA Radio if you want to get in touch. At the head of GTLM, Nick Tandy has cruised away into the wild blue yonder.
Yeah, and number 24 car, by the way, has just come on to pit lane. That is Jesse Krohn making his first stop of the day.
And it will be his only stop because he has gotten out of the 24 BMW and handed over to John Edwards. They're doing 4 new Michelin tires, a lot of fuel, and then they will be sending John out, the American, to represent on Canadian soil. The car has already dropped off the air jacks, told him to refire, just waiting for the fuel hose to come out. This is going to be very good timing from them. Now John Edwards told to go back out, and he does so.
Shea Adam in the pit lane. 4 new Michelins on that car, and once again there's a clump of cars to be dealt with by this battle for 3rd position. Goikberg just about getting no, he's been jumped. Goikberg's been jumped. There's at least a place made up there. I think Colin Brown's gone through. Yes, he has. Colin Brown is now, is he at the head of that field, or is there somebody gone with him?
Number 7 car probably is ahead of him as well.
Ricky Taylor, yeah, I think you're right, Jeremy. I think you're right, but certainly a place made up by Colin Brown because he's ahead of Goikberg. Didn't see where Bomarito's dropped. No, Bomarito's still in there. Into the pits for Sebastian Saavedra out of 11th position for the number 52. This is the Ligier, the yellow and red car. The AFS PR1 machine getting a new set of Continental tyres. All looks very leisurely because it's the... Oh, and there's a wheel gone missing. Somebody's locked up a wheel. It's got a big flat spot and it's come off the car. And it's right in front of us.
I think that must... Is that the 52
Is that the 52 car that's lost a wheel on the way in, Jeremy?
That's all I can think of.
Oh, the wheel steadfastly...
That's why he'd been dropping back a little bit over those last few laps. His car is still on pit lane.
Pits are closed. We're going full course caution with 90 minutes to go. Can't leave that wheel there in case it rolls off somewhere else. Now the 52, how many tyres are around the 52? Shea Adam might be able to... yeah, spins the wheels as well on that car whilst he's on the jacks. That'll be a penalty. And they're still not finished. Yeah, I think that is a good bet, Jeremy, that's where the wheels come from. It's a very leisurely pit stop. The fuel stopped going in some time ago. And they're now going to find themselves with a closed pit, I think. So how far around the track did this all happen? Porsche 911. Actually, Porsche 911 did, yes, we reported the Porsche number 911 of Nick Tandy. Got past Jesse Krohn going around the outside at turn 4 with Jesse just drifting a little bit wide there on the lap before he came in the pits. Gustavo Jackermann into the 52 car and out. Won here in 2014. But we'll have to do something of an heroic couple of stints because he's already a couple of laps off the pace now. 90 minutes to go. Good opportunity to take an in-race update brought to you by Cadillac. Here's how it stands before the pit lane opens. Let's give you the rundown. Jot this down where you might be asked questions about it later. Renger van der Zande leads behind the Corvette safety car from Felipe Nasr. Nasr in the 31 Cadillac in second. Jonathan Bomarito did get through into third position in the 55. He was followed through by the 7 of Ricky Taylor and the 54 of Colin Brown and the 5 of Philippe Albuquerque. So Misha Goikberg now down from 3rd to 7th position in the number 99 Orica, ahead of Tristan Nunes in the 77 Mazda and Robert Alon in the 85 car. Dane Cameron still on the lead lap. Top 10 still on the lead lap. GTLM, Porsche 911 from Porsche 912. Tandy from Vantour. Magnussen in 3rd place in the number 3. Joey Hahn just nipped by Ollie Gavin, 2 or 3 laps ago now, in the 66 Chip Ganassi Ford GT. Ollie Gavin is still in 5th position in the number 4. 6th is Ryan Briscoe in the 2nd of the Fords, that's the 67. Then Alexander Sims in the 25, and somewhere behind, but obviously will catch up now, having just done the pit stops, the 24. John Edwards now installed in that car.
Yeah, that's right. So that car's just made its pit stop and is able to rejoin at the back. If you're wandering out on a racetrack and you just saw a whole bunch of cars go past the safety car, that's because those cars were trapped in between the safety car and the class leader. So they're able to cycle around in front of the safety car and take up their positions, their correct positions, rightful positions behind the class leader.
Bit of sweeping going on the front while we've got this full course yellow. Let me finish off the Cadillac in-race update in GT Daytona. Brian Sellers, championship leader with Madison Snow in the 48 Lamborghini, lead from Jerome Blake-Molan in the Stars and Stripes 33 AMG GT. Then it's Bill Oberlin in the blue and yellow 96 BMW, doing exactly what that car did a week ago and just stealthily moving through. Haven't had to talk about that car making outrageous manoeuvres, haven't had to talk about it doing any defending, but all of a sudden, Jeremy, it's up into 3rd position ahead of the Lexus of David Ennemar Hansen in 4th. The number 15 car, then Alvaro Parent, that car 2nd place, well, Catherine Legg 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship. That is 5th for the 86, the Sirius XM's car, and then Jeff Siegel in the first of the Ferraris. That is the 63 WeatherTech sponsored car. That's your top 6. But I reckon, have they been split up?
What?
The GTDs.
Well, yeah, because Brian Sellers was so far ahead.
Yes.
He had not been lapped for the next time because he's out of sequence with everybody else because he stopped during that the first full course caution on lap 20, so he didn't come in when everybody else did. So he, because of that and the traffic, he'd been able to pull away quite appreciably when everybody else came in and made their pit stops under green.
The prototypes and GTLM cars will be allowed to call in next time around. 1 or 2 people mired in the field, trying to get 1 or 2 drivers ahead of them to get a bit of a wiggle on, Shea.
John Edwards was just flashing the lights of the 24 BMW at the 14 Lexus immediately ahead of him, and that has Kyle Marcelli behind the wheel. He knows which way this track goes, but he was trying to encourage a little bit of speed to be picked up, and here we go. Oh my good grief, it's going to be just about everybody coming in. So the 10 leads the cars down the pit lane, the glossy black Cadillac as you like to call it. It will be a driver change. Renger van der Zande out and Jordan Taylor in. We also have the number 7, the Penske Acura. That will still be Ricky Taylor. They are doing fuel and tires for that car, fuel and tires for the number 10 as well. We have both of the Corvettes in the pit lane, so the 3 and the 4. They are both doing driver changes, as are the 2 Porsches. Fuel and tires for all of those cars as well, so it is Bamber into the 912 and Pile into the number 911. The number 7 Penske Acura comes in, drops off its jacks before anybody else, revving the engine within an inch of its life. That was the sound of Jordan Taylor leaving. And he leaves in first. There was almost contact between the 55 Mazda and the 7 Penske, but it was the 7 that came out ahead. So the Taylor car beats out the number 55, which will now have Harry Tingle. It was a driver change as well for the number 77, and the last car on pit lane was the number 912 of Earl Bamber. That was a bit of a slow stop for them, which is unusual. We also had one of the Fords came in. I think it was the number 66. I'm going to walk up there and see if there was a driver change after we have the GTD stops, because they are coming up next.
Both Fords were in, actually. And Dirk Muller took out the 66 and Richard Westbrook took out the 67.
Yeah, the only car again that didn't pit this time was number 25 car, and the
Alexander Sims.
And the 24, which had just stopped a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, so they're going to be first and second on the race start. Alex Sims has only ever won here. Well, no, he's never lost here, is what we should say. That's the correct stat on that. So all of the prototypes except the 52, which had just stopped. So Gustavo Jacobin trying to get a lap back, and the 22 stayed out as well, but he's not on my first page of timing and scoring. But that car with turbo problems for the Nismo 3.8 V6 engine. And GTD, they will come in just a second. Gives us half an opportunity to speak to another guest here, who is clearly a basketball player, because he's about 6'13". Jack Manchester joins us. Jack, hello there. What are you doing here?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm here just to see what North America and the North America racing scene's about, and see any opportunities for the future.
What are you doing at the moment back in Europe?
I am driving in Blancpain GT in the Silver Cup in Endurance and Sprint.
And what sort of car do you drive there?
I'm driving the AMG GT3 with ACA ASP.
So, for those that don't know, that's exactly the same formula of cars that are in GTD out here at the moment. In fact, Jerome Blinkenmolen's going to lead in a car very similar to the one that you're driving back in Europe.
Yeah, exactly the same specifications and formats, just different tyres and slightly different BOP.
Don't go away, because we've got those cars coming in, including Brian Sellers from the lead of GTD. Shea, what's going on? Continental Tire Pit Lane report.
You will see an M Snow listed next to the 48 Lamborghini. It will be the 3rd car to leave off the pit lane behind the 63 Ferrari and the 96 Turner BMW. It does get out ahead of the 14 Lexus. That was the only car, was the Lamborghini, to do full service. Everybody else was fuel only.
Thank you, Shea. Adam, it was really busy with the prototypes and the GT Le Mans cars coming out side by side. You can have a lot of fun on a pit lane speed limiter, quite clearly, if you know how to spin up the rear wheels. I'm not sure how you manage to get wheel spin on a pit lane speed limiter. Perhaps Jack Manchester can tell me. It's a bit frowned on, spinning the wheels out of the box in Europe, isn't it? Sorry, I better turn your mic on.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, it's not... I wouldn't say it's the normal standard, you know. You just get a kind of clean start. You don't want to, you know, damage the wheels or anything when they're cold or fresh. It's yeah, it's different. It's a different everything. It's a fantastic to be out here and see how everything differs from back in Europe, and I'm absolutely loving the experience.
It looks like Dane Cameron got out ahead of Jordan Taylor, and that's being looked at from race control to get the cars in line. There's a wave by going on, Jack, before we go back to green. So first impressions of what you've seen here. First of all, the circuit. Have you had a good look around the circuit? I mean, this is something else, isn't it?
Oh, this track is this is awesome. I mean, I hope one day I get the honor and the pleasure to drive around here. It's just a great place. I mean, so fast, just looks like a great track for a driver. Just amazing.
People often say it's a European-style circuit, but we don't have anything like this back in Europe anymore, do we?
No, I wouldn't say so. I'd say it's maybe a mix of some certain tracks, you know, a little bit of Thruxton, some Brands Hatch, and almost a little bit of the Nürburgring.
Yeah,
all
Spa.
Yeah, definitely.
Except Spa without all the runoff.
No, exactly. I think that's the challenging aspect of it. You know, if you made a mistake, you're in a wall. You're not. It's you got to be fast and you got to be on the edge. But I mean, if you go past the edge, you're not in a good place.
When are you next out?
I'm next out the Spa 24 hours.
Which is next weekend?
Weekend after. Yeah.
Yeah. will be at Lime Rock Park that weekend. Jack, great to see you. Jack Manchester, listen out for that name in the future, and from the smile on his face here, I would suggest that he wants to be out here and do a bit of racing. Is that a reasonable assumption?
That is a reasonable assumption, maybe even later in this season.
Well, come back and see us again, and we'll follow your career with interest. Jack, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you very much for having me. Jack
Manchester, live from trackside here on IMSA Radio, around the world and around the track. Jeremy.
Yeah, so pit stop's completed. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like, Jack, by the way. The Dane Cameron car, that came in to the pits in 10th position. It's left in 2nd. The reason for that, of course, is because that had been onto pit lane not long ago. That was on a completely different strategy to all the other prototypes, so therefore it needed very little fuel from this stage. All of the prototypes, I think, should be able to reach the finish now on one more pit stop. So that is a crucial thing. So they were a little bit lucky there in some ways to get that opportunity to get back up to the front.
Yeah, 80 minutes to go, 2 40-minute stints. That's, I mean, even I can do that arithmetic.
And of the other shuffling, number 10 car came into lead, went out in the lead. Number 31 car just dropped behind the number 6, so good pit stops by both of those two. Number 5 car vaulted up a couple of positions ahead of the number 7. Number 55 lost a position to the number 7 and number 5, and number 54 car lost a position also during that round of pit stop. So wholesale shuffling going on there, and now we've got another motor race. We're just about what are we? Pretty much exactly halfway through, aren't we? With an hour 20 remaining. It's a 2 hours 40-minute race. So yes, exactly halfway distance from here. Phew! That was pretty intense first half of the race. In GTD, Jerome Blakemollen is in the lead of the race, and we talked about him very early on, saying that that car was fast. Ben Keating just did a superb opening stint, and all of the GTD cars will need to make one more pit stop, as will, I think, all of the GTLMs, but the 25 and the 4 will need more fuel than everybody else.
Back to green flag racing. An hour and 19 to go, and it was Jordan Taylor who led them back to the green flag, and he has got the jump on Dane Cameron. 3rd place Felipe Nasser, just about hanging on there from Harry Tinknell in 4th position. The Mazda starting to come to the fore now as well. Mazda have had good results here.
That was a
very good restart.
Jumped a couple of cars on the restart there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And the number 5 car lost a couple of positions, Philip Albuquerque.
Correct. One side of the grid maybe, no, it was a side by side. It was a line of stern start, yes. Here's the penalty for wheel rotation on the jack stands, drive through. That was the number 52 car, wasn't it? So Sebastian Saavedra, or Gustavo Jacquemin rather, is in that car now. And he will drop away from the back of the field. They did get one of their 2 laps back there. They are only 1 lap back, but they're going to lose some real estate by having to come back into the pit lane. Oh, and here's a significant one for the 6th place Ferrari. Jeff Siegel running the red light at the pit exit, and that will be a stop plus 60 seconds. And that's going to take them massively out of the battle in GTD. It's so close in GTD. Our Porsche keys to the race, no errors, 0 errors, and that is going to be very costly. Both of those cars who have been assessed penalties are into the pit lane now. Just to drive through for the 52, the 63 will be standing still for a whole 1 minute. And there'll be a bit of cursing going on down there, I would have thinked. Alexander Sims leads GTLM. John Edwards in 2nd. The Rahal Letterman Lanigan BMWs using their tactics, splitting their strategy, doing what they can to get track position, which is so important here. And the restart is under review. I wonder if Harry Tinknell jumped a bit early then, because he did make up some positions.
Possibly, and also the number 911 car made up a couple of positions as well in GTLM. It's up to 3rd place now behind the 2 BMWs, but probably not for long. As we're watching the cars coming up the Mario Andretti straight, which isn't, up to turn 8. Number 911's on the outside line. He's able to make that pass. A problem though for number 912. Has it picked up a puncture?
Yes.
Number 912 is way.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. left rear is damaged for Earl Bamber. Remember, he was the last car, and we're under full course caution. Earl Bamber, now the car's sitting down on the left rear, but he's driving very quickly. There's definitely damage there. Remember, he was the last car out of the pit lane, so he's lost a bit of real estate as well as some track position. It's a short yellow, and this can be emergency service. Oh, there's all kinds of debris coming out of Moss Corner, and that, I presume, is carbon fibre from a Porsche, and that's going to take a bit of clearing up. They will be able to change the rear left-hand wheel and Michelin tyre there, Shay, under the emergency service regulations.
Yes, they will, because there is nothing left on the Michelin that Earl Bamber brought the car back in on. There is a lot of debris missing from this car, but that's all they did was change the tyre. They didn't put any tape on the car whatsoever, so they'll have to do some investigating and see what caused that to happen.
That was, I mean, he'd just been into the pit lane, Shay, and they did put new tyres on when Earl got in the car. And
they had a very slow stop. It was the last car off the pit lane, and it was one of the first ones on, so I'm going to ask around. Yeah,
it was the second car on pit lane, you're absolutely right, Shay, and fell all the way to the back, and then to add insult to injury, that tyre absolutely explodes. Here's that's number 6 car on pit lane.
That's from second place, that's Dane Cameron.
It's curious.
I think this must just be a splash of fuel, Shay, because he's only been in a couple of times, a couple of laps ago.
That would be very odd. Why would it be emergency service, though? Why would he need a splash of fuel under the circumstances? They have put the fuel hose in. The car has gone up on the air jacks. They had a right rear puncture. So they are changing the right rear Continental. No fuel going on, just that tyre.
Right. Can I, in that case, call me a detective? There'll be no pop around. But was there some contact then between the left rear of the Porsche and the right rear of the Acura? But they shouldn't have been together on the circuit.
They shouldn't have been anywhere near each other. I think all I can assume it was debris from the
Porsche.
Yeah,
that he's just run over. Okay, God, I'll give you that.
Bad luck for that team.
You're listening to IMSA Radio. We're live trackside from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix. And we'll take you through to the end in an hour and 14 minutes right here on RS2, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels. Well, we're in another full course yellow, and it's for debris from the rear of Earl Bamber's car. Earl was on his own in elegant isolation. He was the last car out, so he was desperately trying to catch up the back of the field, and the tyre started to go down and finally gave up as he came out of Moss Corner. He hasn't dropped off the lead lap in class, though. That is the crucial thing. And those cars are still fast. The Kiwi will be very, very wound up about that, because they had a very good position. A slow pit stop as well, though.
Yeah, curious.
Great work going on by the track services and safety crews, picking up the bigger pieces of carbon fibre, etc. Prototype class split is happening, but no pass around. So the prototypes get to go to the front, and that's good news for Dane Cameron, who's just made that pit stop, because he will follow through one of the Mazdas towards the front of the field. Is that a Mazda or is that a Cadillac? And he's following through.
Well, no, he'd have come out, pretty sure he'd come out
behind Ollie Jarvis.
Yeah.
He's behind Ollie Jarvis and Stephen Simpson. So I think actually it might be behind Stephen Simpson.
Yeah, he'll be at the
back.
The
start of Earl Bamber's problems was right in front of us when he slid wide, trying to get up the inside of the number 67 Ford,
and then slid
with
wide,
Richard Westbrook. And that was clearly, there's damage to the back of Westbrook's car as well, but that's on the other side from where the Porsche hit him. That's the left side of both cars. How the heck did that happen? How do they do that? I think we could make a TV show about that.
Or even a movie.
Yeah. Now, Westbrook hasn't come in, and he was trailing half of the rear end on the left-hand side of that car. Shea Adam, let's get an update on those 2 pit stops. Earl Bamber, now we know that was contact with the 67 of Richard Westbrook as he was trying to make up some positions after his tardy pit stop. What about the number 6 Acura Team Penske car of Dane Cameron?
They reckon it was debris left on the back straight as the 912 was shedding bits of carbon.
So that must have been the next time around then for that car, Jeremy.
Yeah. We still need to try and find out if we can, Shay, about that the early
pit stop
as well.
Why they took that second pit stop for the 7 car.
Yeah.
That was. Back up into 4th, so it hasn't really hurt them. And
well,
short yellow coming, and the safety car lights are out. 90.7 FM around the track. Sirius 138 XM 202. Flag-to-flag coverage of every IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship race from IMSA Radio on the Sirius XM network. And around the world on the IMSA app and IMSA Radio, channel RS2 on the player at radiolemans.com, part of the RSL network of channels, bringing the motorsport community together this Sunday afternoon in Canada. Sound and Vision with IMSA TV joining us as well. 1 hour and 10 minutes to go as the green flag flies, and Jordan Taylor leads from Felipe Nasser, and then Harry Tinknell and Ricky Taylor. Now don't forget the previous restart was under review, and that has not been closed yet, that review. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I've just checked that on the penalty screen. Penalties coming. Shea Adam.
The 5-2, the 52 Pier 1 Matheson Motorsports is going to get a penalty for jumping the restart, but we have a much more significant one, the 6. The Penske Team Acura will be getting a stop plus 60. And let me just ask Johnny what that one was for. Johnny, the Acura.
Close pit, I would think.
Close pits. It was running the light at the end of pit lane.
Oh, right, ran the light on the way out. Okay, so they would have been allowed to change the tyre, but they ran the light on the way out. Confirmed, penalty, jump, restart. So just as I was saying that hadn't been resolved, it has been. Plenty of action going on to keep everyone in race control busy today. Once again, doing their usual brilliant job of watching 276 different things at once. And the number 6 in for a stop and 60, and both of those cars
so that takes that car
come in
completely out of contention. It'll lose a lap here, and they will have very little opportunity to make that up again unless they have a very fortuitously timed caution period. Look, here's another replay. We're seeing there the contact between the Porsche diving down the inside. Okay.
He clipped him as he went by.
Yeah, so as the Ford went past, the number 912 car dived to the inside, and a bit of a late move, and made some contact going in with one side of the Porsche, and then as it slipped wide, the Porsche went through on the inside, and contact on the other side ripped off that rear sort of, well,
the little cheese wedge, you think, exactly, behind the rear wheels.
Behind the rear wheel on the left-hand side of the car.
And whilst Jeremy was talking there, Earl Bamber came back into the pit lane. Shea Adam, that was for?
It was for a splash of fuel and for the mechanics to inspect the damage at the left rear of the car to be satisfied that no further pieces were going to fly off and puncture the new Michelin on the car. They were, so Earl went back out.
Seems reasonable, and he's already back up to speed. Now that's going to give him, and a little touch there. And that's the 24 BMW getting very sideways. John Edwards under pressure from Patrick Pilet, who's gone through, and I think he's got a puncture too. Has he? Yeah, right rear. Or at least it's pushed the bodywork in. They came through the final corner almost together. The 24 car, this is a battle for position, the BMW. Porsche down the inside is there. And I think you've got to say there, John needed to have just let that car breathe. There was room to his left. He did not have to have that contact.
No, he didn't.
Pilet was ahead at and before and through the apex of the final corner for me, and it's rear suspension damage. The toe in there, the right rear Michelin at a somewhat jaunty angle, and that car's going to be coming back in. Oh, guys. Let's go to Shea Adam. We wondered why earlier on the number 7 came in. It was perfect timing from Helio Castroneves. He spotted a car off the track, knew it was going yellow, but then there was another splash of fuel earlier for Ricky Taylor. What was that all about, Shea?
It was just to try and extend the fuel window a little bit. They were trying to be creative, but then they got the secondary yellow, so the plan ran out the window. Luckily, they didn't lose too much time or position as the 25 BMW has come in. Alexander Sims is jumping out, and Connor De Filippi is getting in. They are doing the fueling and the tires while the driver change is going on, and this one looks okay, John. Was it the 24 that had contact?
Correct. 2-4 had contact, and that incident is under review. 911 Patrick Pile and 24 John Edwards under review. John, just under the Canadian Tire walkover bridge, has now punctured the right rear tyre because it was so far towed in at the front edge, and he's bringing that back into the pit lane to what I think will be a lengthy repair, because that looks like a toe link that has been broken on that car. He may yet shed some debris, and if he does before he gets to the pit lane, no, he's in the pit lane now, so that's going to be okay. Back to you, Shea.
What side is it on, John?
It is on your side. It's on the right rear.
Ah, yes, copy. Now I can see the car. Ooh, yeah, that's a good deal of damage done to the car. The wheel actually leaning in as John Edwards has his hazard flashers on, very heads up, to make sure that the cars behind him knew why he was running at a reduced speed. They are pulling new Michelins off the wall, so they are going to put new tires on the car, but they have removed the problem tire, the right rear, the refueling going on. Now that has been completed, and they are looking at the damage, trying to assess and figure out if they have time to fix this on the pit lane, or if they just need to bring it back behind the wall and call it a day. The worst that they could finish is P8, and it has not been a great year for the 24 BMW. All the luck seems to be going toward the sister car, which finished second twice on the years. Bill Otterlin went for a spin in turn 10. That's not a phrase I say very often. He's spun it back around and gotten pushed in the right direction. The wing is still attached properly, so that's good news for one BMW. But for this 24 stop, it's going to be a while. They have completed all their normal service. They are just working on that right rear.
That was 8th position for Bill Oberlin, but he had plenty of time in hand. Jeff Siegel in the 63 WeatherTech car, remember, had a penalty earlier on and has fallen off the lead lap in GT Daytona. Question was, did he jump or was he pushed? Meantime, under review, the 911 and 24 side-by-side contact going in there. Pile, for me, was alongside and possibly even ahead coming into turn 10. John Edwards doing a great job of defending, but clearly that BMW getting towards the end of its grip. And I'm hearing, and I'm just going to check this up on the screen, no further action on that. Good. Yes, reviewed, no action. Yeah. That is, in some ways, Jeremy, that is the very it's a perfect illustration of a racing incident.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I think absolutely the right call there. Yeah, they reviewed it very thoroughly. It was a very bold move by the number 912 car, or 911 car, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which one was it?
911
Pile. But it was absolutely legitimate. He dived it inside. He made it. It was a really insightful pass. He just laid on the brakes. That meant he lost some momentum in the middle of the corner, but it was up to John Edwards at that point to just give him a little bit of room, and he elected not to do that. It's his choice. He knew the Porsche was there. His choice either to pinch it down or give him the space. He chose to try and pinch him down, but it was too late at that stage. The pass has already been made.
It's basically like trying to shut the door when somebody's
the horse is already bolted.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
yes, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no further action is the decision, and that is the right decision. Sorry, that is a decision rather, whether you agree whether it's a right one or not, and Jeremy and I do. Sometimes the right call is not to make any action, and that doesn't mean that that hasn't been looked at, and that's the point that Jeremy's making there, that the incident has been looked at and it has been assessed as effectively 6 of one, half a dozen of the other racing incidents. Carry on, lads. Also the 96 and 58, well, Bill Oberlin ended up spun round at the final corner, so does that mean the number 58 of Pat Long was involved there? Pat Long coming off on the wrong side of a shoulder barge at the end of the race that cost him, what, 3 or 4 positions in GTD at Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago, as Bill Oberlin comes into the pit lane in that 96 Turner BMW from 8th position. Pat Long would have been a lap back, so that may have been some lappery going on there between Bill Oberlin and Patrick Long, or maybe Pat coming back through to try and get some positions back. Let's go back to the top as we've got just over an hour to go. Let's give you a Cadillac race update. Jordan Taylor, 4 Cadillac leads by 2.77 seconds from Felipe Nasr in the 31 Cadillac in second. He's only got 3/4 of a second though back to Harry Tinknell. And then in 4th position, Ricky Taylor in the first of the Acuras ahead of Philippe Albuquerque. Cadillacs packing the top 5, 3 out the top 5 Cadillacs in GT Le Mans. Antonio Garcia leading for Corvette by 0.6 of a second from Pilar, who's trying to chase him down. 5 seconds further back, Dirk Muller in the 66. That car's really come alive in the last, what, 3/4 of an hour or thereabouts. In GTD, Jerome Blinkemolen, Stars and Stripes 33 AMG GT, 7.5 seconds ahead of the best of the Lexus, now in the hands of David Ennemar Hansen. That's the 15, the chrome red car. Then Alvaro Parent, championship implications there, with the second driver, Catherine Legg, second place in the championship. Shea Adam can tell us about the 96 BMW. 2 BMWs with rear toe problems at the moment.
Well, they're not amused down at Turner Motorsport. They were the recipient of contact, and they were turned in turn 10. Bill Oberlin went off backwards. They thought everything might be okay, but it's a broken right rear toe link. Their day is done, and they feel like that was a solid podium car.
Well, it'll be of little solace to them, but the 58 car, and I don't think I've ever said this before, Pat Long is getting a drive-through incident responsibility for that crash with the 96. So Pat Long will come down pit lane from 9th position. The reason that I was just pausing at them, because Alvaro Parent was under massive pressure from Kyle Marcelli for 3rd position, and in fact has just lost that 3rd position to the second of the Lexus. That's the shiny blue car, which will be coming into the pits shortly. And the reason that that's got championship implications is because that's 3 places ahead of the championship leaders. If it was to stay like that, Catherine Legg would leave Canada as the leader of GT Daytona, not knowing if she's got a drive in that car in 2 weeks' time at Lime Rock Park. So once again, our Cadillac in-race update. 10, 31 and 7, separated by not very much at all at the front of the field. 3.2 seconds and then a second. The top 3 now just within 4 seconds. That's your Cadillac race update. Cadillac V-Series, because real races don't take time off. Jeremy?
Yeah, that's exactly right, and the significant point there is number 7 car is in 3rd position. He found a way past, Ricky Taylor found a way past Harry Tinknell a couple of laps ago to move up into that 3rd position and relegate the Mazda to 4th. But what a good job these Cadillacs are doing at the front of the field. Jordan Taylor taking over from Renger van der Zande, who drove a brilliant first stint. These Cadillacs have been pegged back over the years, and they certainly don't have the fastest car here this weekend, but they've done an absolutely excellent job with their driving and with their strategy so far. Still an hour to go, but big pardon.
That's right, Jeremy. The red number 15 Lexus is back on the pit lane. David Hennemeyer Hansen is out, and Jack Hawksworth, the guy who put that car on pole position, has been reinstalled for the final stint. The fueling is done, the tires have been changed, sticker Continentals, and Jack Hawksworth slapped around with a large piece of meat and sent out for the final stint to try and get a win.
The Yorkshireman will need very little encouragement here. Great battle at the bottom end of the top 10. Stephen Simpson, Simon Trummer, Gustavo Yakima, no, he's a bit too far further back, so it'll be Ollie Jarvis who's just ahead of them. And twice Simon Trummer has had the right-hand side Continentals onto the dirt in a lap and a half or so as he was trying to get through traffic, and then the traffic was passing other traffic, and that traffic was moving around, and all of a sudden he ran out of road a couple of times. He's had to give up the position, lost drive when the Continentals were on the dirt. GT Daytona pit stops, and they're significant with just under an hour to go. The 93 teammate to Catherine Legg in the pit lane, Lawson Aschenbach right in front of Madison Snow, the leaders of the championship. And this, I think, will be their last pit stop, Jeremy. Do you think they can do 55, 54 minutes?
Oh, yes, that's why they're all coming in now. And the number 15 car was the first one to make that move one lap ago. They can get to the end from here. And if there's any full course cautions, then it'll play into their favour, because the other guys will be held out. So I think we'll probably see most of the leaders that lead a pit stop, and I think that's everybody else, coming in shortly thereafter. So we've got 4 of the GTD cars making their pit stop now.
Fuel and tires for both the 93 and the 48, so the Acura and then the Lamborghini. They came in that order, but it is the Lamborghini who leads ahead of the Acura and well ahead too. A brilliant stop by Paul Miller Racing's crew. The number 911 Porsche also on the pit lane taking fuel and tires. They've already finished the tires, and that's the sound of Patrick Pele feeling like he has enough fuel.
That's very interesting. GT Le Mans cars thinking they can go 55 minutes. Right, okay, for Porsche. So Patrick Pele coming in. Stopped. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
No, it's good to say the number 54 car finally has been able to make a pass. Colin Brown managed to find a sneak past Philip Albuquerque on that lap, so now up into 5th position in the car that qualified on the pole but started at the back in the prototype ranks.
So far it's a what if day for the 2 Porsches. Earl Bamber having dropped down to 6th position but still holding on to the lead lap. Patrick Pele has come out just behind him, but he, I think, has made his last pit stop. Catherine Legg's now being installed in the 86 car, and that's ready to go out to run to the end. Adam.
New tires and a lot of fuel. She goes back out behind Kyle Marcelli, who was in getting tires and fuel. No driver change for the 14, so they are leaving Kyle into the end. And the number 3 Corvette is in. That is going to be Antonio Garcia to the finish. They are giving him new Michelins while they put the fuel in the car. Since they have the time, they might as well. And Antonio Garcia is a man who is really fast around this track. His co-driver, Jan Magnussen, has won here 5 times. Antonio only has 1 win. He's looking to go out and take that too.
Now, significantly, I'm just trying to work out whether Catherine Legg got out ahead of Madison Snow. I don't think so. I don't think so. Problem for the number 60, the number 86. Going slowly, coming out of Moss. So Catherine did get out ahead, but that car was very slow coming out of Moss, and Madison Snow has just gone through. Now I'm very, very confused now. I was just trying to work out whether Catherine had got out ahead. I didn't think she did, but I've just seen in real time the pass. Catherine very slow indeed out of Moss on her outlap, which I think will put the 48 ahead, and that is again championship implications. Just 1 point between them as they came in here. 53.5 minutes to go. So was that just cold tyres and a moment for Catherine on the exit of Moss at turn 5, or something more sinister for the 86 MSR Acura? In and out for the 66 Ford, making its final pit stop. As Jeremy suggested, once one comes in, they all start coming in. And given that Patrick Pele has pitted, Dirk Muller has had to do the same. In comes Jeroen Bleekemolen from the lead of GT Daytona. Here's a Continental Tire pit lane update from Shea Adam.
Fuel, tires, and a windshield tear off for Jeroen. As the fueling's still going on, the car has been dropped off at the air jacks. It was in 2014 that Jeroen Bleekemolen and Ben Keating as a duo took their first ever victory here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in the GTD class. The fuel probe comes out, and Jeroen fires that Mustang AMG, that Mercedes AMG back up into life. There was a one on the side of the car when he came in. It won't be there when he leaves, though.
No, but it's a very good stop. I think that'll take Kyle Marcelli to the point in GT Daytona. He's just put that car's fastest lap in with a 1:17 flat, and that is He's got I think Hawksworth's got the fastest lap in GTD at the moment with a 16.9. But that is a very good lap by Marcelli and exactly what he needs. Yes, Hawksworth just put that 16.9 in as well. So the two Lexus on new tyres with their run to the flag now making their bids at the head of the field. But it's now 14 from 15. It's been 15 from 14 when they've been running together for most of the race. Should be Madison Snow in third position for the championship, leading 48 Lamborghini Huracan. And then I think it's Catherine Legg in fourth position, that will be. Andy Lally steaming along quite nicely in the 44 Magnus Audi. He's in fifth position and he's right on the tailgate of Catherine Legg's Acura.
Number 33 Viper, Viper. Mercedes is in for its stop. Has made it stop.
The 33 got out ahead of the 15, so it's in second place, but only just. You'll see them going past you now. The Stars and Stripes car turns into turn one, and he's got in between. That was a great pit stop by the Riley team. He's got in between Marcelli and Hawksworth, so Jerome Blakemolen between the two Lexus.
Yeah, he'd been leading prior to that round of pit stops, and so the number 14 car, Carl Marcelli, boy, what a weekend this would be for him. He won yesterday's IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race with a quite brilliant drive where he had to really manage the fuel in the final stint. Somehow he made it 68 minutes in that Ford Mustang GT Forta to bring it home to the finish on literal dregs because he ran out of fuel on the cool down lap. Can he do it again 2 in 2 days? That's what he did at Mid-Ohio, wasn't it? Come to think of it.
He did
won both races there,
yeah. He's clearly got his slippers with him this weekend if he can make the fuel stretch that far. There's no doubt that those Lexus are quick though. The times they've been putting in, Kyle Marcelli with another quick couple of sectors at the head of the field. He's just pulling away 3.7 seconds now from Jerome Blakemolen. Hawksworth right there in third position. Then Madison Snow 3 seconds further back, but with a 3 seconds advantage over Catherine Legg. And behind her, her former teammate Andy Lally. 86 Acura and 44 Audi battling it out for fifth position on track. Jordan Taylor just sneaking the odd couple of tenths or half a second here and there.
I think Ricky Taylor's lost a couple of positions in number 7 car, has he? Yes, he has. He's been passed by both the 55 and the 54, so clearly held up in traffic somewhere on that last lap. So number 55, Harry Tingle, back up into third place in the Mazda. Colin Brown, the pole sitter, up to fourth.
Fourth and only 8.5 seconds away from the leader, Jeremy, and that's the key thing. With 50 minutes to go, all of these cars at the front of the field will need one more pit stop. They stopped at lap number 54. All of these cars came in all the way down to 8th position, 9th position actually. Dane Cameron has 10 laps better. He's 10 laps better off on fuel in the Acura number 6, but that car is off the lead lap. Here's Colin Brown going for second place at turn number 8. Looks up the inside. Harry Tingle is not about to give that third position up. Third position, excuse me. Out of turn 10. Ricky Taylor and Philippe Albuquerque making it a 4-car scrap for the last podium position as it stands at the moment. And coming quickly is Ollie Jarvis. Ollie Jarvis in the 77 car.
Yeah, he's not closing on the leaders, but he is back up into third place.
No, sorry, Ollie Jarvis in the 77 in 7th, just did a 1:10.1.
Did he? Okay, because
he's just taken 3.5 tenths out the guys ahead of him.
Okay, because he's been struggling. He'd been slipping back away from the number 5 car into the clutches of the number 99 and the 85 car.
.47 minutes, and it's all still happening out on the circuit as Harry Tingle leads a quartet of prototypes through traffic, and that's the Andy Lally and Catherine Legg battle that they're going by now as they head under the Canadian Tire walkover bridge and down towards turn number 8. And Tingle has got Colin Brown for company. Colin has got Ricky Taylor for company. So the dark red 55 Mazda is in third position. the tangerine blue and white 54, fourth, fifth for the Acura in that distinctive stars and stripes with the white background livery.
The prototypes really need to another 4 or 5 laps before they make their pit stop, then they would be good to go to the end of the race. Perhaps potentially a little bit of fuel save going on at the moment. The leader, car number 10, Jordan Taylor, just a brilliant drive, I think, by that team. He's running in the when he has clear track, he's running in the 9s. He was running in the mid-8s earlier in this stint. I think most of these guys, I'm sure, will have an instruction to save some fuel.
Don't forget, once the checkered flag falls, it's the end of the race, but not the end of our broadcast, and in fact it's only the beginning of the conversation. Michelin post-race tech on the air on RS2 IMSA Radio, giving you the chance to steer the conversation and the debate. Hashtag Michelin PRT to @IMSA Radio, please. That was a mistake at turn 5 that allowed Colin Brand to just drag past Ricky Taylor, drop the left-hand tyres onto the dirt and had to wiggle around a bit to get some of the pickup off those Continental tyres. Harry Tinknell doing a good job here as he picks his way through traffic. He's just gone by the leading Lexus in, and that leads the GT Daytona category. Turn 5 again ahead now. One of the Ford GTs. Let's take, while we have a moment, and before it all kicks off again, Continental Tire Pit Lane report and an interview with the man who qualified well up the field today. Ben Keating will be delighted with that, and I'm sure also with second place at the moment for Jerome Blakemole in that 33 red, white and blue stars and stripes AMG GT.
Ben, it was a great start to the day for P4. Now you got Jerome up there in P2. He's putting in faster lap times than the cars ahead of him. What did you tell him to go out and get that win?
So right now it's all about taking care of the tires. Because of the heat of the day, this is the hottest we've had here all weekend, and the track, it really is different. For some reason, the tires, the wear falls off, and you know, it just, the car behaves differently than the car is behaving differently in the race than it has all weekend, and that's good for us because I think our AMG is really good at taking care of those Continental tires. So we're hopeful that as we get closer and closer to the end, that we'll have a little bit better tire on us than the Lexus, both in front of us and behind us.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, Shay.
Shay Adam with that Continental Tire Pit Lane report. We said in our Porsche Keys to the Race, react to circumstances, and I just wonder what the teams at the front of the field will do in terms of taking tyres at the end of the race. They will need a full load of fuel, so they should have time to put all 4 on. In GTD, their pit stops are over. So now it's all about managing what you've got and marshalling the resources, Jeremy, of what is underneath the driver.
Yeah, that's right, Don. I think it's only the prototypes that will need to make pit stops from here on in. Gap between the 2 leaders in GTD is just 1.4 seconds, so very little between the 14 and the 33, and that number 33 team, Ben Keating, I can't overstate how good a job Ben Keating did in the opening stint. Great to hear from him, and Jerome Blakemole, well, we know how good he is, so that car is definitely in contention there. Meanwhile, up front, we've got 43 minutes remaining. I think another couple of laps before the prototypes would wish to come onto pit lane.
What are we seeing? Around about 35, 36 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, probably. It's really another 3 or 4 laps, actually. Yeah, 38 minutes or so would be their preference. Then they can run flat out from there.
Jordan Taylor now 2.4 seconds ahead. Lost 0.8 of a second last time around to Felipe Nasr. Traffic playing its part here. Don't get too excited about that as we're inside the last 43 minutes. Shay Adam, anybody showing any interest of bringing prototypes into the pit lane?
just one team. That's the one that won last weekend, the number 99 Gainsco Automotive Red Dragon. The JDC Miller Motorsport crew on that half of the wall are getting ready. They have tires on the wall. They also have the refueler already active and the air jack man with the hose in place, so they will be changing their tires. And now I'm starting to see a bit of movement from the leaders' pit box as well. Fuel and tires for them, methinks.
Well, the Gibson engine cars do have a fuel advantage, Jeremy, so they can probably come in a tiny bit earlier and get that last pit stop done. And that you have to do that, because if there's a full course yellow and you've got your pit stop done before everybody else, that's going to be a massive advantage. The gamble is, if you don't do that, you go longer, do you put less fuel in, and therefore you're standing still a little less time, and that vaults you up. I say get your full fuel load, get your new tyres on, and get cracking.
Yeah, and I did misspeak, by the way. Number 4 and number 67 in GTL and the top 2 cars haven't yet, I don't believe, made their final pit stop. So that will hand the advantage when they do so to the number 911 of Patrick Pilet. It's Tommy Milner who leads the class at car number 4 at the moment, but I don't believe he has enough fuel to get to the end.
Well, the 911 came in first out of all of the GT Le Mans cars. He was last in on lap number 71. And there's still 40 minutes to go, and we're already for them on lap 82. So I think I said it was 57 minutes when that car came in, and we've been green all the way since that point. You're listening to IMSA Radio live from trackside, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix. At IMSA Radio, please. Hello to Vince Pettit, who's watching and listening, finishing off his weekend in style with the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix, because, as he says, 3 days at Silverstone and watching VLN live obviously wasn't enough. Motorsport overload this weekend.
Excellent.
And start having a think about what you want us to debate or bring up in Michelin post-race tech. Checkered flag is the end of the race, but only the start of the conversation. Shea Jeremy and me, John Hindhaugh, talking through the big points of the weekend. Observations, questions, brickbats or bouquets. At IMSA Radio, hashtag Michelin PRT, please. At IMSA Radio, hashtag Michelin PRT. We'll be on the air on the international service after we've handed the PA back for the formalities at the podium. But don't worry, we'll be staying on the air for some reaction and some interviews from the winning teams in each of the 3 classes before we go off the local PA and FM. Just got to say a very big thank you to Miles Brandt and the whole group here, from the guys who have been checking us in and out and helping us get parked, the security on the paddock area. Everyone has been brilliant again here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as in out of 3rd position comes Harry Tinknell in the Mazda. Shea.
Fuel and 4 new Continental tires going on Harry Tinknell's number 55 Mazda, as they change the left sides first while the fuel is going in, and now they'll run around and do the other side, getting the tires out of the way. Did they do left sides only? They might have just done left sides only, John. I only saw the left sides being changed during that stop. Fuel's still going on. Now the car comes off the end. Fuel hose still attached. Now it pulls out. Harry Tinknell sent, and we are starting to see a reaction to that. That has triggered the onslaught of pit stops. A lot of other teams on the pit wall, but if caution comes out now, it is Harry Tinknell who's sitting pretty.
Mazda team Yost decides to go early, and there's 38 minutes on the clock. Spot on what Jeremy Shaw was saying earlier on. They should be able to go full rich with that 2-litre turbocharged Mazda 4-cylinder engine. And here comes Jordan Taylor. Had to react there just in case anything happened out on the circuit, and in comes the Cadillac. That means Felipe Nasr will go through, and he does go through. Ricky Taylor goes through as well. They've stayed out. Everyone else coming in. Shea Adam.
Oh boy. So it will be sticker Continental tires for Jordan Taylor, as well as a lot of fuel. That's the sound of the number 5 Mustang sampling Cadillac rumbling down past, and both of the JDC Miller Motorsports Oricas come in. It will be fuel and tires for the 99 Gainsco car and the Banana Boat, the 85 as well. No driver change going on for any of them. Fuel and tires as well for the Mustang sampling. It's 4 tires on all of these cars, and the Konica Minolta car done first. Fuel hose comes out, and Jordan Taylor easily gets out of his pit box well ahead of everyone else. The Mustang sampling car is still up on its air jacks, has not even begun to roll, and Jordan Taylor is already well clear. The 54, the Core Autosport car, was also on the pit lane. They did fuel and tires, as did the 77 Mazda for Oliver Jarvis, and the number 7 is already starting to drop, so that means we will be seeing the Penske Acura in here shortly, as well as the number 31. The Whelen Engineering crew is standing up on the wall. Can they win this race 3 years in a row? 31 does come in for service, so right on time and right as call, and so does Ricky Taylor in that number 7 Acura. The 7 will hit its pit box before the 31 does, just on the lineup coming into the pit lane, and the Acura a little bit further down in points from the 31 Cadillac. That is how we arrange the pit boxes in this series. It is tires and fuel for the 31 Whelen car and tires and fuel for the 7 Acura. So now it is just a battle of who can come out of the pit lane first. Both cars still working on the tires while the fuel is going on, and looks all clean down here, John. I'm just waiting to see who comes off the air jacks first. It should be the Acura because they hit their pit box first, and it was the Acura, but it was narrowly ahead of the Cadillac. Acura is being revved within an inch of its life. Fuel hose comes out, the Acura is sent, and the Whelen Engineering Cadillac beats him by a country mile.
Yeah, it came in well ahead, Shay, so it was about 10 seconds ahead when it came into the pit, so it should be leaving ahead. The interesting thing, though, is the number 31, number 7 car did a lap longer than everybody else on hot tyres. They're going to come out, they've got an opportunity to come out ahead of some of those other guys they were dicing with, but the other guys have already got now 1 lap of heat into their tyres, as we see the number 4 leading GTLM car onto pit lane for its final regular service.
Tommy Milner steered aboard 4 new Michelins and a full tank of racing fuel. 35 minutes to go for that car, well inside the window. So that's, 57 minutes for the Porsche, 35 minutes for the Corvette. That's their last stint lengths. That tells you how confident the guys at Porsche GT Racing are. Really great stop from Corvette. And Shea Adam, down through the years, the Corvette racing team have been nailing pit stop after pit stop. When we used to have the pit stop competition, I think we had 4 or 5 years of pit stop competition, and they won it. Well, I think all bar 1 time.
Yeah, and it was so perfectly coordinated that as the fuel hose came out, the car dropped off the air jacks and Milner went. So they timed it. Back timing, didn't want to put any extra fuel in the car, and it just so happened that that was the exact moment that the tire change had finished. So chapeau to Corvette Racing and the number 4 crew, led by Hollywood.
He's got a reason he's got that name. He is box office, no doubt about it. Let's just see what's happening in GT Le Mans with 34 minutes to go. Richard Westbrook with the pink fluffy slippers on, driving that car for economy at the moment. He's 24 seconds ahead of Patrick Pilet, who was the first of those GTLM cars to make what we believe is its last stop. And Westbrook was last in the pit lane on lap 52. That is some 35 laps ago. So they will not need a full tank of fuel, Jeremy, so that'll be a timed stop for them.
Tommy Milner did get out ahead, I believe, of number 66 and a 912 after making that pit stop. So
yes,
good
correct.
pit stop once again for number 4 team. No surprise there. The big gainer in the prototype round of pit stops is number 5. An incredible stop by number 5 team, because they've got out, they've jumped the number 54, the 7 and the 55 cars on that round of pit stops. That's amazing. The number 10 car retains its lead, extended it just a tiny bit. It's now a bit over 3 seconds. It was just over 2 when they came in for their pit stops. But the number 7 car didn't really make any ground at all, despite the fact it went 1 lap longer on hot tyres. A little bit surprised by that.
A lot of light colours on the timing screen as Colin Brown puts the 54 Oreca's fastest lap of the race in a 1:08.4, 1:08.3 for Ollie Jarvis in the 77 Mazda is that car's best. Stephen Simpson has just put in a 1:08.7 rather. That was that car's best lap, and a 1:08.1, the best lap for Simon Trimmer in the 85, the team car. So all of a sudden these cars coming out of the pit lane, getting up to speed very quickly indeed. Here's how it stands with 32 minutes to go. This is your Cadillac in-race update. At the front of the field, Jordan Taylor for Cadillac, the number 10 Konica Minolta Racing Team. DPI VR by 3.3 seconds. That gloss black car ahead of the red and white of Felipe Nasr. The 31 in second has 3.2 seconds on Philippe Albuquerque from the same organisation. Different colours, different sponsor, different team name. That's Mustang Sampling. But Philippe is another Action Express driver, and he is only 3.2 seconds behind his teammate. He's got less than a second in hand over Colin Brown, who is flying and has just taken nearly 3/10 out of Felipe. But he needs to, because Ricky Taylor's picking up the pace as well in the Acura in 5th position. That's the number 7. Top 6 made up by Harry Tinknell, who is just ahead of his teammate by about 2 seconds. So the two Mazdas, 55 and 77, now running in 6th and 7th position. With now, we believe, Jeremy, all of those top cars fueled to the end of the race.
And there's a significant pass. Number 54 car, Colin Brown, has found a way past Philippe Albuquerque on that lap, so now up into 3rd place, and he's only 1.7 seconds behind number 31. He's certainly got the fastest car on the racetrack. Now he's got to show it. Is Colin Brown in 54.
Andy Lally and Catherine Legge are still having the same battle that we were talking about 20 minutes ago. And that is still for position 5 in GT Daytona. Now 5 seconds behind Madison Snow, the championship leader in the 48. That's the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. They're about to have prototype company on the Mario Andretti straight, as through goes the 31 of Felipe Nasr, the 2nd place car. Nasr trying to stay ahead of Colin Brown, who can't be that far behind now. In fact, he's there. He's gone past that battle. Lally drives down the inside, maybe hoping that Catherine's attention was taken by the prototype, and through 8. Brilliant manoeuvre from the Audi driver. Andy Lally goes through, takes 5th position. That's only taken him 22 minutes.
Yeah, great battle between those two. And,
love it.
Yeah, they'll have enjoyed that. Although Catherine won't now if Andy's got past. But the car to watch right now, obviously, is the Colin Brown in car number 54. He's already closed up that deficit, number 31 car, and Felipe Nasr is going to be that's going to be a really tall order to keep the number 54 behind him, because it's a lot faster.
Jeremy's only 4 seconds behind Jordan Taylor.
Quite.
And we've got half an hour to go.
Yeah.
We've got a battle. We've got a proper battle. This is an old-fashioned grandstand finish. Two cars, two very different philosophies of motor racing. Big V8 engine in the Cadillac, developed by the manufacturer. A lot of bespoke parts, including the bodywork and the aero and the engine and the suspension. Whereas that Oreca is the world vision, global vision, with the spec bodywork, spec engine and gearbox, and spec suspension. So is the Taylor factor going to outweigh the Brown factor? 63 in and out. Jeff Siegel will, I think, just hang on to his 9th position in GT Daytona. Fuel and tyres for that car down in the pit lane.
Bad news for Jordan Taylor is that Felipe Nasr was a lot closer to him on that last lap than the previous one, and that, of course, is bringing Colin Brown much closer as well.
Colin Brown gets by. Yeah, those two were in the 9s. 9.5 for Colin Brown, 9.4 for Philippe Albuquerque, who's just passed, 9.7 for Felipe Nasr, who he's trying to pass, and a 10.7 for Jordan Taylor. But as I always say, don't get too excited about that. That could have been easily, I mean, losing a second round here in traffic is actually not a bad result. The rather damaged number 67 continues to circulate for Ford. and that is leading for Richard Westbrook, who still, hasn't come in for his final pit stop.
They've had the crew standing on the pit wall for about the last 12 laps, John. They've just been saying, we're going to keep going until we're gone. And Brad Goldberg, the lead engineer on that car, sitting in the pit box looking very cool and calm and reserved. They've got Westy in this position. They've had him there before, and they won this race on strategy in 2016, so they might be looking to do that again. And by the way, the last of our driver changes taking place on the pit lane, that would be the number 6, the Acura Team Penske that started first in today's race. That is Juan Pablo Montoya getting his first laps around Canadian Tire Motorsport Bars in a race ever.
That's going to be just under half an hour then for him. Richard Westbrook has half a minute near enough on Patrick Pilet.
Yeah.
Although he took a bit of time out of him last time around, took 4/10 out of him last time around. Now, I don't think that's enough to get in and do the pit stop. It's going to make things mighty interesting if they do a timed stop, which they will do. They won't have that car standing still. Right. And this might be the opportunity that we talked about in our Porsche Keys to the Race, Jeremy, for just 2 tyres on that Porsche, on that Porsche Keys to the Race. On the Ford, left tyres only, so that they try and grab a bit of track position.
Yeah, I mean, might not even take tyres at all, conceivably.
New second place, and Felipe Nasser has gone to the Colin Brown sword, and now it's a 1.5 seconds to the lead. Extraordinary stuff. As in GT Le Mans, Earl Bamber and Dirk Muller are battling it out, but the leaders are in. Oh, there's a problem for the 6. Just out of the pits.
You've just come out of the fuel, right? You've just come out.
Juan Montoya's lost a wheel. Left-hand front wheel, I think, is gone. Certainly the left-hand side.
67 car in pit lane.
Oh dear, that tyre is rolling across the
bring a
track. Caution is out. Caution is out, and it's on at the front of the field. This is going to close everything up.
Yeah, and now the key is, can the 67 car, it was in before the pits were closed, can it make, here's the service coming up now for number 67 leader.
This is brilliant for them. They've only got left side tyres at the moment. Adam.
And left side tyres is all that they have called for. They throw the air jack back across. Westy pulls out. That was brilliant. Round of applause. Yeah, and he made it out before the pit exit closed.
Did he? But I don't
so before the pit exit, pit entrance closed, and before the pit exit closed, he's in behind the safety car, and he will get away. He's going to get away by, isn't he?
No. He's the leader.
He's the leader, absolutely. Yeah. Left front tyre on the Acura Team Penske, not fastened on properly for Montoya, and makes its bid for freedom at the exit of Moss Corner on the outlap. Oh dear, I feel a phone call from Iowa coming on.
Yeah, it's not been a great day for that team. They've made some somewhat curious, I think, strategic calls. Mind you, who's me to call that? But yeah, that clearly was some sort of a problem on that pit stop for Juan Pablo.
Juan Pablo Montoya is back, and he's overshot the pits. Can't blame him for that. He's got no front braking on the left-hand side. Adam.
Well, the wheels really fell off that wagon, right, John? The
car that you had to go there.
I had to go there. The car that started from the front of the field comes back in. They're going to make sure that there is no damage to the rotor or the suspension, and they just gave a signal saying it's going to take a little bit of time to fix this. So that is any hope and prayer of the 6 getting on the podium, clear out the window. You got to feel for Dane Cameron. He's won here the last 2 years in a row. It's not going to be continued today.
Yeah, no, that car had gone a lap down in any case after making that pit stop. It was right at the tail end of the lead lap before it came in for the stop.
Correct.
And so fell off the lead lap with that pit stop. So now it's going to be can Colin Brown find a way past Jordan Taylor? Jordan Taylor wants to win this race, don't you think?
Well, this is not necessarily good news for Colin Brown, because in green flag conditions he's quick, but we know that those global cars don't get up to speed quickly on the restart. So what he's got to do to start with, Colin Brown has got to hold on to second on the opening couple of laps, and then he can start to plan about taking the lead, because there's no doubt in my mind that Colin and the Oreca has got the performance levels and the potential in that car to overhaul Jordan Taylor. Jordan probably has other ideas about that, but as I say, the important thing is going to be getting off the restart quickly in that Oreca as they Acura Team Penske mechanics go to work. They're checking things like brakes and steering tie rods underneath the front end of that car. This will be another short yellow because we're inside 30 minutes to the end of the race. This is manna from heaven from Richard Westbrook and the rest of the 67 Chip Ganassi Ford GT team. They have got a cracking opportunity here. It looks like a brake caliper is being changed on that Acura, so maybe as the wheel came off it dragged the brake caliper and broke the brake line. Yeah, exactly what's happening. They're taking the old brake caliper, in fact it's leaking fluid down there as well, so yes, that is that's going to be one of those days. One of those days. They've dropped down to 11th, and that 11th position is not in doubt because the...
Yeah, it's only going to cost them one position. That's where they're going to finish.
Is there enough time for the 22 to overhaul it? Is the 22 still
No,
out there?
22 is long down.
Right. Okay, so it's going to sit in
11th. They've even torn down their pit thing. No, they're long gone.
So that's it. They're in 11th. They might as well park it now. Put it behind the wall.
Yep. Yeah, but they probably, if they can fix it, I'm sure they will, because the more time Montoya can get around here, the better. Because he and Helio Castroneves were clearly daunted by this place. They were massively impressed by the jobs that Jordan Taylor, that Ricky Taylor and Dane Cameron, their respective teammates, and how fast they were around here. It's all about commitment. This racetrack and track knowledge is super important, even for two guys who've been there, done that, and won everything. They found it pretty hard to get to grips with this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Coming down to 21 minutes, just under 21 minutes now. Patrick Pilet and Antonio Garcia and Tommy Milner, Dirk Muller, in fact everybody down to Connor De Filippi are on the lead lap in GT Le Mans.
Yeah.
In GT Daytona, Kyle Marcelli leads from Blake Moreland in the 33 AMG. Jack Hawksworth in the second of the Lexus. And
that's been a super battle that's been ongoing, since, well, for quite a long time. Number 14 and number 33 battling for that lead.
And a little mention here for Ben Keating, who qualified the car in fourth, and his first stint was immaculate.
He's been one of the stars of the race for me. We talked about it a little while ago, didn't we? And I think he's been absolutely magnificent. He's the guy who's put Jerome Blakemole in this position to win the race. Riley Motorsports, of course, always calls great strategies, but it's been a brilliant drive. And Carl Marcelli is going to have his hands full here. But of course, there's the pole sitter, Jack Hawksworth. This has moved him right up onto the tail of those two leaders. He was about 3 seconds behind prior to this full course caution. This is going to get him right on. It'll be nose to tail now for those GTD front runners.
It's 2 races in a row that the 6 car has had an issue towards the end of the race, isn't it? Because they had their gearbox selector issue. Oh no, that was the 7 car. And so this is going to bring to an end the 3 podium run for the 6 car. Ricky Taylor has a shot at the podium in the 7. But I tell you what, I'm not picking who's on the podium here out of this lot. No. When you've got... Stephen Simpson was turning very fast laps just before the caution. Colin Brown, we talked about. Harry Tinknell and Ollie Jarvis both putting the fastest laps for their cars in just a few laps ago. So the 2 Mazdas are clearly in good shape as far as running to the end.
Yeah, they are, but number 55 car, again, lost ground during that sequence of pit stops. I think primarily because it came in first of all. He'd been trying to stretch the fuel load as long as he could, and he came in a lap before everybody else, and now all the other guys behind him able to do one more lap on hot tyres before they came onto the pit lane, and that played, I think, to their advantage. They were able to leapfrog the number 55, so it fell from 3rd place before the stops to 6th afterwards.
Quicker yellow, and we're back to green as the 6 is still being worked on in the pit lane, and Montoya sits impassively behind the wheel. Great restart by the number 5 of Philippe Albuquerque. All goes a little bit wide there, and also going wide the number 7 from Ricky Taylor. Harry Tinknell takes advantage and goes through. So Tinks is up a position in the Soul Red Crystal Mazda 55. That was 5th position. I thought Albuquerque was going to have a go at NASA. In fact, he did have a go at NASA, but he just couldn't pull it off. Colin Brown and Jordan Taylor, 2nd and 1st. A little gap then back to NASA, who had to defend from Albuquerque's teammate. And now it is the Mazda who is next up in 5th position. And Shea Adam with news from Acura Team Penske.
It's Team Never Die. There's Paul Miller Racing, the number 48 Lamborghini, but Team Penske deserves it as well. They fixed the 6, and they sent Montoya back out in that Acura DPI.
And there's the problem that we anticipated at the front of the field for Jordan Taylor. Colin Brown, once he gets up to speed, having a little go down the inside into turn 8 and 9. Couldn't quite get it done, drops back to half a minute. But the good news for Colin Brown,
14
right
car slid right in front of us there. Big slide in the apex of the turn of the final corner there by number 14. That's going to give Jerome Blekeman an opportunity.
And that's the leader in GT Daytona. That's why Jeremy was so interested in that. Richard Westbrook with a scant 7/10 of a lead in 7/10 of a second lead in GT Le Mans.
Where do you look?
And Blekemolen's gone through. Blekemolen has gone through. Eagle-eyed Shaw here to my right, spotted that one out of the broadcast booth window. And through comes Lally. Lally to 3rd for Magnus. Oh my goodness, this car was in the tyres earlier on this weekend, rebuilt to its usual. And let's have no, there's a touch on the inside. As back through comes the 15ers, Jack Hawksworth. He says, I'm not giving this up. True Yorkshire grit there. And Andy Lally needs to get his elbows out if he's going to try that one again. Bit of a mistake by Hawksworth as he caught the right-hand curb with the Lexus. Here comes Magnus and the Audi. Andy Lally goes to the left, goes to the right, weaving in behind Hawksworth. The Englishman tucking far as he can to the right-hand side. Is through. He's dragging the 67. That car in the lead of GT Le Mans tries to go around the outside at turn number 8. My, that Ford must have some downforce to pull that one off. Did that easily. And the reason he was doing that was because Pele was right there.
Hawks was struggling. Something's wrong with that number 15 car, I think. He's really struggling.
And now they've got the GT Le Mans cars coming through. Pele's lost ground. Remember, we heard the guy saying, it was Ben Keating, wasn't it, who was saying, we think we can keep the tyres under the AMG GT better than the Lexus can. And I just wonder, Sheridan, if the Lexus of Hawksworth was just a little bit struggling on grip there.
They said earlier on in the week, John, that they were expecting their tires to be prime for 20 laps and then start falling off after that. Well, that is exactly the window that Jack Hawksworth has found himself in right now. I think that's why he's dropping back.
Well, it's a restart. It's just a restart. He was having trouble getting the car going at.
Yeah.
And Oliver Jarvis has made a move on Ricky Taylor. That's surprising. For 6th position, number 77 car ahead now.
So that's both Masters that's gone by the Acura of Ricky Taylor then.
That's right.
Since the restart. So it's Jordan Taylor that leads for Cadillac, the number 10, half a second ahead of Colin Brown, who's 1.5 seconds ahead of Philippe Nasser. Nasser in the 31. So it's 10, 54 and 31. Then Albuquerque in the 5. But honestly, the biggest gap in the top 10 is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary stuff. The 2 Corvettes hunting in packs now, and they're 3rd and 4th. Sensational restart as the number 7 tried to go around the outside. Oh, got a big thump on the right front. That might have knocked the alignment out.
That's the problem
for Ricky Taylor.
Great catch.
Great stuff by the... I know it's not tape anymore, but I say with respect, and always very impressed. The tape apes, as they used to be known back in the day. Our replay crew picking that up for us on the TV. A little bit of rubbing on the left rear of the number 10 as well. Just a little bit of tyre smoke from the Continental there, just at certain parts of the tyres. Oh, Colin Brown now up to speed. 108.2 last time around for Jordan Taylor. That car's fastest lap of the race, and almost 10th for 10th, the same as the fastest lap from Colin Brown. But Colin is still gaining on him.
This has just been absolutely tremendous. The Porsche's dropped back, hasn't it, behind the 2
Earl Bamber. No,
yeah.
he was already back. He was.
Hasn't Pele dropped? Yeah, Pele's dropped behind
back.
both of the Corvettes.
Correct. Oh, 55's off. Tinks dropped it.
No.
Tinks has dropped it out of a really good position, and it's at turn number 5, and he's in the gravel, and this is going to be a caution. 12 minutes to go. Full course caution. Now, he was in traffic, so the question has to be asked. This is rhetorical at the moment. Did he jump or was he pushed? And the yellows have just come out. Now, the 911, did he get a little... No, he just got dragged by the 2 Corvettes on the Mario Andretti straight. His exit was compromised by trying to go past the... Trying to pass one of the Lexus, actually. Now, Shea Adam is watching down the front straight where I can't see. Shea, as they went through there, Jordan Taylor was still scored as the leader, but I've just seen something that suggests to me that Colin Brown might have gone through.
I was looking at the starter stand, and as the yellow flags came out, it was about 2 seconds, and then Jordan Taylor came through, and Colin Brown passed him going into turn 1. That might be a penalty.
Well, let's see if he redresses it. Can't see those 2 cars at the moment. No pass around, short yellow. We're going to have just under 10 minutes to go. No, it's Jordan Taylor back in behind the safety car. Well, actually, the pass was made at turn number 8. So where was the yellow out? That's the question. They raced back to the line, and then Colin lifted off, and Jordan Taylor went back past him.
Okay, so the 31, the number 10 car should have enough fuel. I wonder whether he'd have lifted off there as soon as he could, just to save and make sure he's got as much fuel as he has, as he can have for the final push to the flag. It's just 10 minutes to go now. Yeah, that's a shame, because that would have been a really good performance by that 55 car. It's going to move Oliver Jarvis up into the 5th position.
So the 911 of Patrick Pele did lose some positions as he was going past a slower car. He got eased out by the 14, the Lexus. I thought it was a Lexus. That was Kyle Marcelli. So he'd gone round the outside and then didn't get it done properly, and through came the 2 Corvettes on the Andretti straight. That was before the yellow came out.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, wow, and wow.
Yeah.
This is back on again, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Tinknell brings the 55 back around. He'll be in the pits shortly, I'm sure. And we should be able to go back to green flag racing with round about 8 minutes to go. We've just the safety car's just starting another lap, and it's about 2.5. It's going to be about 7 minutes. 7 minutes to go. Prototype class split should be done on this lap, and then we can go green lap on the next time by.
And the tricky bit is the GTLM and GTD cars are all kind of intermingled.
Correct.
And that's what
caught out Pele.
Indeed.
Feel it for Harry Tinknell. Good finishing position. Ends in the gravel at Moss Corner. I suspect that's not the first time that has been said around this circuit down through the years.
No. Speaking to him before the start of the race, by the way, another guy making his first time here and absolutely loving the challenge of this racetrack.
Just trying to see whether the yellow flags were out before that pass was made round the outside at 8, and I couldn't see it from the onboard. Yeah, it's been redressed. It's been redressed. So what Shea saw was Jordan Taylor going by as Colin lifted off at the start-finish line, and it's been redressed. Colin Brown is the leader on a fabulous outside pass moments before the yellow flag came out for Harry Tinknell in the gravel at turn 5. Again, brilliant work by the replay artistes from TV with onboard and exterior shots. And that is a brilliant overtaking manoeuvre Colin Brown just gets the nose of the Orica ahead and then steams round the outside. And then as he came to the start-finish line, the yellows were out as Shea Adam described, and he lifted off. Jordan's gone through, but that's all right. It's been redressed. I'm sure there'll be no penalty for that. Coming back with 7.5 minutes to go. The 55 has been withdrawn. The green flag is out, and Colin Brown now has got just 7.5 minutes between himself and a famous victory here. And this could be back-to-back wins for Orica Chassis in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. We sort of expected it at Watkins Glen because of how smooth the track is. What we couldn't have known was just how good Colin Brown was going to be here this weekend. He's headed every session, including qualifying. The team elected to start John Bennett from the back of the prototype field and give up that track position. And with the help of a few full course yellows and frankly an outstanding drive again by Colin Brown, they lead the race and are driving away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, game over now, that's for sure. It has been a tremendous performance, and he's taken his opportunities where they can. They've played the strategies absolutely perfectly in every single way, and they're going to they've got about 6 minutes to record a magnificent come from behind win.
Overtake there by Ricky Taylor, who finds himself now back in 5th position. Ollie Jarvis having to give best there as the Acura went side by side with the Mazda coming out of turn 9 and into turn 10. There's still plenty to be disputed. Colin now controlling the race, 107.6.
Number 14 car was very slow coming off the final corner there. That was a 2nd place car in GTD.
And 15 has gone off at turn 8. Hawksworth has gone off on that last lap there. That was the 3rd place car. Andy Lally now on the podium, with Madison Snow now up into 4th position. Catherine Legg in 5th. So the two championship contenders again almost together, just 1.7 seconds. But Andy Lally drive of the second half of the race there.
Did the two Lexuses get together somehow?
It might have been, Jeremy. They were together on the track.
They had been together on the track, but it looks like they weren't there. So the 15 car had a problem earlier around that lap.
What a drive by Andy Lally. Couple of nominations for Drive of the Day, certainly Jerome Blake-Molan and Ben Keating. But Andy Lally has done a great job as well with John Potter beforehand. Yeah,
and that's the key there, is John Potter, because he kept that car right on the tail of the cars in that GTD all through the opening stint of the race. So hats off to John Potter there.
Already 3 seconds and more.
Andy Lally wants 2nd place.
Yeah, Andy Lally does want 2nd place. 3 seconds at more at the head of the field. But the battles are going on behind. Now the 14 car was right ahead of Porsche. Now this was earlier on. The Porsche number 911 got up the inside in turn 4 and was ahead, then turns in, and I wonder if he just got a little thump there from the 14 before the 14 goes back up the inside. That hung out the 911 on the back straight, and through came the 2 Corvettes. And by the way, Tommy Milner has just put in his fastest and the car's fastest lap of the race with a 15.3. But Richard Westbrook, courtesy of a perfectly timed pit stop and great strategy from Chip Ganassi and the team on the wall, is still 3.5 seconds up the road. That Ford looks very, very solid now. Blake-Molan with 2.8 seconds at the head of the GT Daytona field, and Colin Brown with 4 seconds at their head of the prototype field. But behind all of those cars, there are battles.
Oh yeah, huge battles going on behind, but Colin Brown, he's just set that car's fastest lap of the race. It's not quite as quick as Dane Cameron managed to set the new track record earlier on, but there's still 3 minutes to go, so Colin can take that as well.
Shea Adam has a late pit caller. It's Jack Hawksworth
He needs a lot of grass blown out of the radiator. The engine was starting to overheat. They had new tires up on the wall, but elected just to get rid of the grass and see if that makes a difference for Jax.
Meantime, his teammate is under pressure. Andy Lally goes under the Chevrolet bridge with target acquired on the back of the number 14, the blue Lexus of Kyle Marcelli. Closes in 2 or 3 cars lengths under braking at Moss Corner, turn 5. Now, what kind of run does the Lexus get out of the corner? Not bad. Andy Lally just about holding on. He's in the hole in the air that's been made by the blue Lexus though, and here he comes. The Lexus will stay to driver's right, so Lally will have to try and go around the outside. Now drifts into the middle of the road, through turn 8, there's no way through there. Lally sniffs second place. Into turn 9, now into our view. Meantime, the leader just half a straight's length behind them. White flag next time round, I reckon, Jeremy. Don't think you'll quite have to get it this time. Up on the wall, the guys at Core are absolutely holding their breath, and they know they're on camera now as well. Hello, John Bennett, who's done his part, gave up the pole position start. Calculated risk. The racing gods have smiled on them today. Richard Westbrook on the back straight, the Mario Andretti straight, with a less than pristine Ford GT under him.
Yeah, you won't worry about that, will he? Because it's been, again, an excellent performance by that team. Ryan Briscoe was sensational in qualifying. That team came in here thinking that the Porsches were going to be very much the car to beat, which they have been, but the Fords have been unexpectedly strong, and what a good job too by Chevrolet running in the 2nd and 3rd positions right now. The Fords, they reckon they were giving away torque to their competitors here. They thought that was going to be a handicap, but apparently not.
No, and Westbrook's once again pedalled the fuel as he needed to. That meant he needed a very short last pit stop. The final pit stop was timed and helped by the fact that they were about to go under full course yellow. He got in as the full course yellow came out in plenty of time, so everyone else was slowing down. Colin Brown having to go past. The battle for 2nd place now. Andy Lally will not want to give up too much room. The white flag has been shown to Colin Brown. Under 2 miles now for the Core Autosport Flexbox team. He's at turn 5. He's still got traffic. There's still danger. There's still passes that are going to have to be made, not for position. He's coming up to Jerome Bleekemolen, so 2 of the class leaders on the Mario Andretti straight at the same time. Brown is through. Colin Brown under the Canadian Tire Bridge for the 116th and final time. There's 2 corners to go. I can see him through the window now. Back-to-back wins for Global P2 cars, back-to-back wins for Oregas, and the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix goes to the 54 Core Autosport. John Bennett can barely believe it, and Colin Brown brings it home. Great tactics. Already through and winning GTD, Jerome Bleekemolen and Ben Keating in the Mercedes, the AMG. 2nd place for Marcelli, 3rd for Andy Lally. And we're waiting for Richard Westbrook to complete the class structure. Richard Westbrook coming into the final couple of sectors now. He's on to turn number 8. Damage to the left rear of that car after tangling with a Porsche, but it's not slowed him down. There's a bit of electrical wire trailing behind it. They'll not care about that. That's the best looking car in the world for Richard Westbrook and Ryan Briscoe, who take GT Le Mans. And down at Core Autosport, a very emotional John Bennett with this Continental Tire Pit Lane report.
Well, for John Bennett and Colin Brown, the last win in this series came 726 days ago here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Oreca. John, you've done it again. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, personally, certainly beat the odds to get here. I'm just a business guy with a dream, and man, what a team. Colin's dad, Jeff. We're missing two of our great guys, Freddie and Steve at home. We miss you. Colin, Bottle Lightning, and I just, holy cow, let's go see Colin.
Let's go see Colin. Congrats.
Thank you.
I can hear the emotion there in John Bennett. He did a very, very good job at the beginning of the race. Put to the back of the prototypes because they changed the qualifying driver from the starting driver, or the starting driver from the qualifying driver, should I say. A very knowledgeable crowd here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, rightly applauding that car coming back. They know what an achievement that is for this team. They don't have the resources of the factory-backed teams, and like the JDC Miller Stallings team last weekend, this has been an exceptional holiday doubleheader for the privateer teams in the global cars. Let's hear from Bill Riley. This is another fairy tale result. Jerome Blakemolin and Ben Keating for the Riley Motorsports number 33 AMG GT3.
427 days ago, Bill Riley, we stood at Circuit of the Americas where you, Jerome Blakemolin, and Ben Keating found victory lane. Now you found it again. Just how hard was this one to get, though?
This one was pretty tough. I mean, the Lexuses were tough all day, so we just had to fight. Jerome did a perfect job, and Ben had an awesome first stint.
You called it, though. You called the tires on that final stop. Was that the trick that got you to the front?
Well, it's a team deal. I'm just a spoke in the wheel.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Gotta love a humble guy like that, John.
Yeah, absolutely right. That was brilliant stuff, and Ben Keating will be one very, very happy man. Can't wait to hear from him, and we will. Coming up, Michelin Post-Race Tech. You set the agenda. Hashtag Michelin PRT to @IMSA Radio will stay on the PA and on 90.7 for a little while we try and get a little more reaction before the formalities have to start at Victory Circle. Another win for Ford. Jeremy's been doing some arithmetic. We'll get a quick word with Ben Keating. I can't wait to hear the mellifluous tones of Ben Keating.
You don't have to wait long, John. Ben Keating, race winner again at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. How does this one feel?
It feels really good. Yeah, we had a really good car today, and just all weekend we came out of the truck with this setup and really hit it well. I'm so grateful that the AMG is good on tires. We talked about an hour ago, and I told you it's all going to come down to that. And the Lexuses were really quick, and Kyle went wide coming onto the front straight, which gave us the opportunity that we needed. But there was a lot of split strategy in this race. We did not come in under the first yellow, and both Lexuses came in and got fuel, so we knew that it was going to be really tight on the last pit stop. We came out in between them. I don't know what happened to the 15 at the end, but just really happy to be back here. The first time to be back on the podium since 2014, so happy to be back.
Well, and it's always a special occasion when a man from Texas can win in a car wearing the Stars and Stripes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Shay. It's exactly right.
Big day for Texans here this weekend. Colin Brown and Ben Keating. And the Lone Star State well represented on the top step of the class podium and the overall podium. Jeremy, some unofficial numbers for the championships. It's been a really, really topsy-turvy couple of weeks for the championship.
Well, it really has. It started off in GTD. Brian Sellers and Madison Snow finished one position ahead of Catherine Legg, so they will extend their lead from 1 point to 3 in GTD. In the GTLM, we've got a new championship leader. That will be Richard Westbrook and Ryan Briscoe with that brilliant victory today. Dirk Mueller and Joey Hand, their teammates, could finish at only 5th, so they will fall quite a long way behind and actually down to 3rd place because Jan Magnussen and Garcia finishing 2nd, moved to 2nd in the points.
Only the second team to take a repeat win in GT Le Mans this year, Westbrook, in IMSA. Sorry, first repeat
in GTLM. Yep, that's absolutely right.
Sorry, Jeremy.
And no, in the prototypes, then we've also got a new class leader because Felipe Nasser and Eric Curran with the 3rd place finish today in car number 31 and finishing one position ahead of the sister car of Albuquerque and Fittipaldi. That will move Nasser and Curran 1 point ahead of Albuquerque rather than being 1 point behind as they were before coming into this weekend. And now with the second place finish, Jordan Taylor and Renger van der Zande will move up to third place in the points, just 10 off the ultimate lead.
Extraordinary racing here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix. Michelin post-race tech coming up, but still an opportunity, I think, to speak to someone from the GT LM winners. That would be Ford. Shea Adam is down there in the scrum that is always around the winning cars. A lot of happy faces again here, Shea. There's some very, very tired drivers, but some exhilarated ones as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of exhaustion on the faces of the Ford drivers down here. And keep in mind, the repeat winners, the last time that they found victory lane was when they got a nice watch, and that was at the Rolex, the 24 Hours of Daytona. So they're very happy to be back here in the victory lane. Not all the team has made the way down all the way yet, though, John. There's still some people on the pit stand cleaning up and finishing up some final details. So I'm going to see if I can jump in with Briscoe and Westy, because now championship leaders again. And it's a good feeling. Richard Westbrook back in the victory lane. You guys didn't think you were going to be here on Friday, did you?
No, we did. We did.
Yeah, I'm not entirely inclined to believe you.
No, we did. You know, you never stop believing, and we really improved the car over the, after first practice. It was a real handful, and at period of times in the race, it was still a handful. Seemed to suffer a lot from pickup. But when the guys gave me some clean track, I managed to clean up the tyres, and the pace wasn't too bad, and they just did a great call. So this goes to the team and my fantastic teammate who gave us a chance, putting it on the front row, which was definitely overachieving. But it just gives us great confidence knowing that we can win in this way, and it was just great to be part of.
Well, and for Ryan, you guys have the championship lead back again. So how good does that feel, knowing you've stolen that back from Joey and Dirk?
Oh, I mean, unreal. I mean, just this result today, as Rick said, I mean, played the strategy perfectly, read the traffic, and Rick just drove unbelievably. I mean, the car was not easy to drive today, and he was just masterful. So what a result. We'll definitely take that.
Definitely set it up well with your second place qualifying, though. I'm not letting you sell yourself short. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
And I'll ask the question of Brad Goldberg. Just how close were they on field, Brad? How much fingernails do you have left after that one? How close was it on field?
They're pretty short.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wondered about that, Shea, because I could see some body language between Ryan Briscoe and Westy. They didn't have to hurry that pit stop, but they clearly wanted to get back out in the lead. And I'm not sure if they got their calculations quite right. They did it easily in the end, but I think it was a bit tight.
No, it was very tight to beat that light at the. I mean,
that was the thing.
Well, and coming in as well. I mean, they only just beat the caution light coming on, and then exiting the pit lane. Also, they were very, very close, I think, to not getting there before the light turned from green to red. But they did indeed make it, and went on and took a fantastic victory. That was a nail biter.
In all the classes. Shea's going to stay down by the podium for Michelin post-race tech, which is coming up in just a few moments' time. I'll remind everybody here at the circuit before we hand off the PA and 90.7 for the formalities that we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time from Lime Rock Park. If you can't join us there, then make sure you tune in to IMSA Radio right throughout the weekend. My thanks to everybody here at all of the... What does that say, Jeremy?
GT.
A GT?
No prototypes.
Oh, no prototypes. Yes, Lime Rock Park is just GTs. Yes, good point. My thanks to everybody here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, from the ownership group and Miles Brandt and the rest of his team, through our technical staff, particularly Tyler and Brian, who did fantastic work, and all those up in Charlotte as well, our TV colleagues under Keith Alessandro. Keith, thank you for your help this weekend. The next voice you hear will be here at the circuit, will be Tony Laporta as the formalities for the podium get underway. Post-race tech, Michelin post-race tech is next for the international audience.
and talk about the test at what.
It's Michelin post-race tech after a nail-biting finish in a number of the podium positions here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Mobil 1 SportsCar Grand Prix. Sarah Robertson from Michelin with us. Wow, wow and wow, that GT Le Mans finish there, fantastic stuff. The temperature got up a bit higher, I think, than people expected today. We had some of the highest track temperatures that we've seen all weekend. Did that cause you and your technicians any problems?
Not really, because you know, though it was a little bit warmer than throughout the week, it's not entirely uncommon, you know, here at CTMP. Actually, compared to last week, this seemed kind of Arctic by nature. So with that being said, we did bring 3 different compounding options: the medium, the hot, and then the medium cold. And actually, amongst all the teams, all 3 compound options were in place. So we were right in that temperate environment that they could really play around with the different this different setup and try some different things. So at no point did we really kind of think, oh man, it's just really too damn hot out. 118 I think was about the peak track temperature. Okay. So compared to last week at 140,
yeah, take that.
It's no big deal.
At various stages during that race, much as we saw at Watkins Glen last weekend, all of your competitor teams, including BMW, albeit they, through a bit of strategy, managed to get to the front of the field.
Right. This one was just one of those races that, in the few times that I would, you know, transfer from the pits back to the truck or up to media, I'd walk away for about what seemed like 30 seconds and then in a complete turnover in the field. So it was really interesting with all the full course cautions to watch the strategy unfold.